Chapter 608. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all here. He was as fast as lightning and as fierce as a dragon. He grabbed the big tree that was pressing down on Marquis Xianping and threw it out. Marquis Xianping had already prepared to die. He wondered if this was the feeling of death. His whole body was light as a feather. Where was the promised big tree? Where was the rushing mudslide? He heard the sound. Why wasn't he crushed and suffocated to death? Just as Marquis Xianping was puzzled, he felt a powerful aura rush towards him. Marquis Xianping had lived to this age, but he had never admitted that anyone other than himself was strong. To be able to make him feel this way, it was enough to show how deep the other party's skills were. Moreover, this aura was a little familiar. But thinking about it, it was impossible. Before Marquis Xianping could think about what was going on, whether it was reality or an illusion after death, he was picked up from the ground. Marquis Xianping, who was completely unaware of the situation. Xiaoheng's heart almost jumped out of his throat. In the end, he saw a scene that made his heart surge. He let out a long sigh of relief. Long Yi. The moment Long Yi picked up Marquis Xianping and flew away, the mudslide rolled over and almost drowned the entire village in the blink of an eye. The mudslide chased behind Long Yi. Long Yi's qinggong was outstanding. Every time he was about to be submerged, he could tap the tip of his foot on the big tree. He flew away and the big tree was swallowed. He stopped on the roof again. He soared into the sky again, and the roof was also swallowed. This was a contest with the King of Hell and King of Hell. Xiaoheng couldn't see their figures, but he believed that Long Yi's skills would definitely be able to win this mudslide. The mudslide didn't just swallow a village. Even the official road where Xiaoheng was located became its prey. It was like a 1,000-year-old beast that had been awakened, opening its bloody mouth behind Xiaoheng. Xiaoheng hugged the baby in his arms and held the reins tightly with both hands. Along the way, rocks kept falling down. If it were any other horse, it would have been scared out of its wits. However, Marquis Xianping's mount did not. It was the king of war horses that had walked out of the Golden Spear Iron Horse. It was well-trained, agile. It accurately avoided every rock. There was no need for Xiaoheng to whip it. Out of its instinct to avoid natural disasters, it had already increased its speed to the extreme. The mudslide chased after them relentlessly. Just as it was about to swallow them whole, the mudslide's eyes were as sharp as knives. With a kick of its hind hooves, it suddenly soared into the air. Xiaoheng looked at the broken bridge and flowing water under his feet, his heart once again in his throat. If he couldn't cross it, it had successfully crossed over. The mudslide rushed into the turbulent river. Xiaoheng turned around and looked at the mudslide that was about to catch up with him in shock. His entire body was drenched in cold sweat. The horse carried Xiaoheng all the way back in the rain. On the other side, Marquis Xianping and Long Yi's situation was more dangerous than Xiaoheng's. After all, the village's terrain was lower, and the mudslide was mainly rushing in the direction. They could not get close to the official road, and could only run to the mountain on the other side of the village. At this time, Lu Quan was at one of the mountain tops. Xiaoheng had originally left him at the top of the mountain, and told him to wait there, and not wander around. However, after he recovered his strength, he was worried about Xiaoheng, so he went down the mountain to find Xiaoheng. As soon as he reached the foot of the mountain, he heard the sound of a landslide. He secretly thought that things were bad and quickly turned to run up the mountain. However, he had only run halfway up the mountain when the mudslide surged over. Just as he was about to be swept away and buried, a whip lashed out and firmly wrapped around Lu Quan's waist. Lu Quan looked up and his eyes lit up. It was Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao pulled the rope with one hand and wrapped the whip around Lu Quan with the other. She looked up at the people above and said, "Go up." Gu Jiao pulled the rope with a whoosh and pulled Gu Jiao and Lu Quan up to the top of the mountain. Gu Jiao looked at Lu Quan, who was pulled up by her, and her eyes were very satisfied. She finally experienced the experience of Gu Qingfeng using a whip to save Tang Yueshan in ancient Moon City. She thought it was very fun at that time. Lu Quan, who was hanging upside down on the tree branch, thought, "Well, next time, Can you let me come up upside down? Gu Jiao had only learned how to use a whip for a few days, and was a little unfamiliar with it. Lu Quan was rolled up upside down by her, and his head was filled with blood. Gu Qingfeng's face darkened. I said I'll go down, I'll go down. I have to go myself. Of course, he also understood that Gu Jiao was not doing it for fun. After all, the one who went down was in danger of being swallowed by the mudslide at any time. This girl was always like this, doing all the dangerous things herself. Even this time, she did not plan to bring him along. He just happened to see her go out, so he followed her. Who are you looking down on, stupid girl? Gu Qingfeng pouted and snorted. Give me back the whip. No. Gu Jiao decisively took the whip for herself. Gu Qingfeng. A red tasseled spear is no longer enough to satisfy you? You even took my whip. Gu Qingfeng secretly glared at her. I'll take it back when we get back. Although the terrain here was high enough, there was no guarantee that there would not be a second wave of mudslide. They still had to leave as soon as possible. Gu Qingfeng grabbed one in each hand and used his qinggong to rush to the top of the mountain. Wait, what's wrong? Gu Qingfeng clenched his teeth with difficulty. You little girl, what have you been eating recently? Why are you so heavy? Gu Jiao played with the newly snatched whip. I don't have it. If you can't do it, just say it. Gu Qingfeng. Men can't do it without it. Gu Qingfeng pulled his hair with all his might. It's you who has grown heavier. No, enough, he can't move anymore. Seeing 3 people about to fall down, Long Yi flew over and caught Gu Jiao from the hand of Gu Qingfeng. Gu Jiao, who was caught off guard, was speechless. Long Yi, didn't you go to save Marquis Xianping? Why are you trying to catch me again? I only agreed to bring Gu Qingfeng along because I didn't want to be sandwiched by you. Long Yi picked one up from each side. Marquis Xianping glanced to the side and took a closer look. He waved at Gu Jiao. Daughter-in-law, how are you? Gu Jiao also waved. Hello. Wow. Before they could finish greeting each other, the two of them were blown into sad frogs by the wind and rain. Gu Qingfeng was left far behind. He was completely lost. Damn it, how could he run so fast while carrying 2 people? Do you belong to the wind? A man like the wind. Long Yi passed through the forest. The journey was relatively long, so by the time he brought Gu Jiao and Marquis Xianping to the nearest relay station, Xiaoheng was already changing clothes in the room. Marquis Xianping saw Princess Xinyang in the corridor instructing the servants to boil water and decoct medicine. He was stunned for a moment, but when he turned to look at Long Yi, he seemed relieved. Yujin came out of the room next door with a basin of hot water. Princess, I gave the child a bath. I didn't have any baby clothes, so I used adult clothes to wrap him in swaddling clothes. Princess Xinyang nodded. Marquis? Yujin went to pour water. When she turned around, she saw Marquis Xianping at the door. Princess Xinyang also looked at him. Marquis Xianping's current appearance was as pathetic as it could be. He himself didn't know and still thought he was as handsome as before. He raised his eyebrows and smiled carelessly. Qin Fengwan? Princess Xinyang looked at his lame eyebrows and her eyelids twitched. She answered vaguely. Where are Jiao Jiao and the others? Gu Jiao walked out from behind Marquis Xianping and spat out a mouthful of rainwater expressionlessly. Not long after, Gu Qingfeng and Lu Quan also arrived. Princess Xinyang said indifferently, Go and change your clothes. Princess Xinyang was worthy of being a mother. Wherever she went, she would bring her child's clothes. But now she had more than one child. Gu Jiao was also the same. She had Yujin take Gu Jiao to the room prepared in advance. The charcoal inside had already been heated. Yujin took out the dry clothes Princess Xinyang had prepared for Gu Jiao, and had Gu Jiao change into them. She had brought a few more sets of Xiaoheng's clothes. One set was given to Gu Qingfeng, and the other was given to Marquis Xianping. Their figures were quite suitable. Lu Quan had a bit of a middle-aged man's belly, so he couldn't wear Xiaoheng's clothes. He went to find a guard to get a set. Marquis Xianping looked at his son's clothes in his hand, and said to Princess Xinyang at the door, That's true. You don't have my clothes. Princess Xinyang's face darkened. You speak as if I would bring your clothes for you if I had them. Marquis Xianping looked at Princess Xinyang with a faint smile. Qin Fengwan, did you especially come to save me? Princess Xinyang could still tolerate him if he didn't speak, but the moment he did, she really wanted to beat him up. Princess Xinyang said in annoyance, I came to save my son. Could he not think so highly of himself? Oh. Marquis Xianping raised his brows and put the clothes on the table. I don't believe you. Princess Xinyang. How did this person become more and more shameless after so many years? In order to not get a heart attack from anger, Princess Xinyang decided to ignore him. Princess Xinyang went to Gu Jiao's room, where the rescued baby was also placed. Gu Jiao had already changed her clothes and was treating the baby. How is he? Princess Xinyang asked as she entered the room. Gu Jiao opened the small medicine box and took out a stethoscope. The bones are fine. There are some scratches and abrasions, slight dehydration, and high fever. That's all I can see for now. I heard that the dry well is quite deep. This child is lucky. I'm asking how you are, Princess Xinyang said. Gu Jiao put the stethoscope on her ear and listened to the baby's heart and lungs. She paused. Princess Xinyang took in her expression. She sighed and asked, Are you hurt? I'm fine, Gu Jiao said before Princess Xinyang could ask. My old injuries have long healed. Princess Xinyang nodded in satisfaction, and then looked at the child on the table. He's fine, right? After Gu Jiao finished listening to his heart and lungs, she took out the stethoscope and said, Pneumonia. He must have been infected before he fell into the well. After soaking in ice water for so long, his condition worsened. Princess Xinyang's expression changed when she heard pneumonia. Xiao Heng had this disease when he was young. He coughed and had a high fever, and almost died. Princess Xinyang still had lingering fears. What should we do? Gu Jiao said. Give him medicine first. If he can't take it, give him an infusion. This was a serious illness in ancient times, but it wasn't difficult for the small medicine box. Sure enough, when Gu Jiao opened the small medicine box again, there were already fruit-flavored antibiotic powder and antiviral oral solution inside. The rice soup is ready. Eugene came in with a bowl of steaming rice soup. This is the only thing in the kitchen. She was referring to the food for the child. Gu Jiao gave the medicine to Eugene and told her how to use it and the dosage. Okay, I'll feed it to him in a bit. Eugene looked at the weak child. He's quite obedient. He doesn't make a fuss. Princess Xinyang also looked at the baby and said, He cried for so long. He doesn't have the strength to make a fuss. With Eugene here, Gu Jiao went next door to see Xiao Heng. Compared to the baby, Xiao Heng's condition was much worse. He was originally half a mummy, but now his whole body was wrapped in gauze. He was practically a fat white man. Marquis Xianping's condition was not much better. However, Gu Jiao was Xiao Heng's wife. Gu Jiao could tie him up wherever she wanted. But Gu Jiao was not Marquis Xianping's wife. He didn't want to tie him up. Gu Jiao called his wife over. When Princess Xinyang entered the room, Gu Jiao had already gone out. Marquis Xianping was paralyzed in his wheelchair, his back facing the door. He thought that it was Gu Jiao who had come. He snorted. I'm not going to tie that thing up. What do you want if you don't tie it up? Princess Xinyang's voice rang out. Marquis Xianping choked. He wanted to turn around, but the pain in his neck made him gasp. Why is it you? Princess Xinyang came in front of him and looked at him. Why aren't you receiving treatment? Marquis Xianping said carelessly. It's just a small injury. He still had to kill old Liang Wang. If he didn't go now, that old thing would die of old age. Marquis Xianping thought that she was going to say that the road was blocked. He had already thought of a way to go around the neighboring county. Perhaps he wouldn't make it in time, but he had to try. He was someone who would not give up until all hope was gone. But Princess Xinyang did not say that. After a moment of terrifying silence, she faintly said, I've thought about killing him countless times. At first I used the dragon shadow guards, but they didn't move. Marquis Xianping muttered to himself for a moment, then frowned and analyzed. They are death warriors that old Liang Wang bought from the Yan Kingdom. The master who trained them also came from the Yan Kingdom. Old Liang Wang participated in the entire training process, so he secretly ordered them to never kill him. Princess Xinyang nodded in agreement. I ordered all of them from Long Air to Long Wu. But they didn't listen to me. I only left out Long Yi. Long Yi just happened to go out. When he first came to my side, he was a little restless. He always didn't follow the rules at home. At that time, I didn't know that he had randomly entered. I only thought that he would be the same as the other 4 dragon shadow guards and not carry out the mission to kill that person. After he returned, I was too lazy to give him any more orders. Marquis Xianping caught a key point. Wait, what do you mean by Long Yi was randomly entered? Princess Xinyang said. A few days before the death of the late emperor, he summoned me to the palace and said that he would give me 4 dragon shadow guards. In the end, there were only 5. I thought that the late emperor changed his mind after I left and gave me 1 more. Marquis Xianping was puzzled. You didn't ask? Princess Xinyang said as a matter of course. Why should I ask? What if I don't ask? Marquis Xianping's brain crashed for a second. Clearly, he didn't expect that Princess Xinyang would also like to take advantage of others. That's true. He accepted her advice. Perhaps because she was tired of standing, Princess Xinyang sat down on a stool diagonally opposite Marquis Xianping. Later, I secretly cultivated some forces. Even if I didn't use the dragon shadow guards, I could still kill him, but I didn't do so. Why? Marquis Xianping tilted his head and looked at her. Princess Xinyang didn't look at Marquis Xianping. Instead, she looked at the pouring rain outside. I found out that he was sick. A very serious illness. His whole body was in constant pain. From the imperial physicians to the traveling doctors, none of them could cure him. They couldn't even alleviate his pain. The imperial physicians said that his organs were deteriorating, and that he wouldn't live for more than a year. But a year has passed and he still hasn't died. If it was a normal person who contracted such a serious illness, they would have died long ago. Yet he couldn't die even if he wanted to. Sometimes, I wonder if the heavens have grown eyes and his retribution has come. It's not that he didn't seek death. It's just that when the Liang estate was in his hands, it didn't have any real power. It was only because of His Majesty's respect for him that he managed to survive until today. If he were to die, the Liang estate would completely decline. How could his family be willing to let go of the glory and wealth in front of them? They spared no expense to preserve his life. He was used by his family and suffered the torment of his illness. His life was worse than death. Tell me, if this isn't his retribution, then what is? Marquis Xianping looked at her with a frown. Qin Fengwan. Princess Xinyang said indifferently. So you don't need to kill him. He already got the retribution he deserves. There's no need to dirty your hands. Then she turned and left the room. Marquis Xianping turned his wheelchair around and looked at her back. Qin Fengwan. What? Princess Xinyang turned around and looked at him strangely. Marquis Xianping patted the armrest and smiled. 2 wheelchairs. If he had only come to save Xiaoheng, only 1 wheelchair would have been enough. Princess Xinyang faintly looked away. Yujin brought it. In the middle of the night, Marquis Xianping disappeared. His mount was also gone. He still took a detour and rushed to the Liang estate. Old King Liang still hadn't breathed his last, but he would die soon. His family had all gone to the capital. Old King Liang could finally die of old age. Who would have thought that on his deathbed, he would see Yama with a butcher's knife in his hand? On a sunny afternoon, the redbud flowers in Jishui Alley bloomed. Large patches of purple color were newly planted in Little Jingkong. In fact, the so-called newly planted flowers were nothing more than moving the flower pots from Princess Xinyang's courtyard to the courtyard in Jishui Alley. Even the moving was done by Long Yi. However, he was the one who placed them on the ground, so he was the one who planted them. In the front courtyard, Gu Jiao was currently guiding Huang Fuxian in his rehabilitation. Huang Fuxian successfully stood up with the help of the artificial limbs. Now he was practicing walking with crutches. Gu Jiao made the artificial limbs according to his physique. Although he was young, he was actually taller than Gu Xiaoshan and Gu Yan. On the other side of the courtyard, the 2 big whites were obediently sitting in the wheelchair and basking in the sun. Marquis Xianping's 4 limbs were in plaster. His neck and waist were also in plaster. He couldn't move anything below his chin. He could only move his eyes and try to look at his son. My back is a little itchy. Scratch it for me. Although Xiao Heng wasn't in plaster, his whole body was tightly bound with gauze. He wasn't much more flexible than him. I can't scratch it. Old King Liang was brutally murdered. The scene of the crime was too horrible to look at. The emperor flew into a rage and ordered the local government to thoroughly investigate this matter. In order to find the murderer as soon as possible, the emperor also sent out the expert Minister Xing. Minister Xing couldn't bring Xiao Heng with him this time because Xiao Heng was injured. He personally investigated, but the scene was clean and didn't leave a single trace. It was as if the murderer had a very strong anti-reconnaissance ability. Minister Xing returned to the capital to report to the emperor. Your Majesty, from the wounds of the deceased, this was a vendetta. The murderer vented his terrible anger on the deceased. The deceased suffered terrible torture when he was alive. The emperor was furious. That was the previous emperor's most respected uncle. How could he be brutally murdered when he was dying of old age? Who was so bold? Just as Minister Xing was reporting the case to the emperor, a eunuch rushed in and reported loudly outside the imperial study. Your Majesty, old King Liang's consort requests an audience. She says she knows who the murderer of old King Liang is. Eunuch Wei was so scared that he almost threw away the horsetail whisk in his hand. The eunuch who was shouting outside the imperial study was obviously not one of their own. It was obvious that old King Liang's consort had bribed someone. Old King Liang's consort was originally imprisoned by Empress Xiao. However, news of old King Liang's death came from Pingyue Prefecture City. The emperor sent someone to the old King Liang's residence in the capital to deliver the news. The person who delivered the news was probably bribed by old King Liang's consort, who then went to the palace. Announce it, the emperor said. Old King Liang's consort didn't return to Pingyue Prefecture City, because she fainted on the spot after hearing the news of old King Liang's death. She fainted for a few days and nights and only woke up now. Your Majesty. Old King Liang staggered to the emperor's desk and knelt down. The emperor quickly got up and went around the desk to help her up. Ninth Grandaunt, please get up. Old King Liang's consort held the emperor's arm tightly and cried, Your Majesty, you must seek justice for your ninth granduncle. The emperor said seriously, Ninth Grandaunt said she has information about the murderer. May I ask who the murderer is? Old King Liang's consort gritted her teeth and made up her mind. Princess Xingyang. The emperor was stunned and said, Ninth Grandaunt, you must be joking. How could the murderer be Xingyang? She wouldn't kill anyone, especially ninth granduncle. He knew Xingyang's personality very well. She wouldn't commit murder and arson. Moreover, she didn't have the motive to kill old King Liang. Old King Liang's consort seemed to have used up all the strength in her body. She trembled violently and said, Your Majesty, please believe me. The murderer is her. It really is her. How could the emperor believe that Xingyang was the murderer? The emperor said earnestly, Ninth Grandaunt, you must be tired. I'll have Eunuch Wei send you back to rest. Old King Liang's consort didn't want to leave. Old King Liang was dead. Liang household was going to decline. All of this was caused by that B***tch Xingyang. If she didn't let them have a good time, then she wouldn't let her have a good time either. At worst, they would die together. Either the fish dies or the net splits. Old King Liang's consort raised 3 fingers and said seriously, Your Majesty, you must believe me. I swear to the heavens that if the murderer isn't Princess Xingyang, then I'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. Just as she finished speaking, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. A bolt of lightning struck the imperial study and struck old King Liang's consort directly. Old King Liang's consort. Minister Xing. The emperor. When the emperor had Eunuch Wei call Gu Jiao to the palace, old King Liang's consort had already breathed her last. Empress Xiao also came. She looked at old King Liang's consort in the imperial study and used a handkerchief to cover her nose. She said in disdain, How unlucky. She actually died in your Majesty's imperial study. The emperor also felt unlucky, so he didn't refute Empress Xiao's words. However, he still called for Princess Xingyang to come to the palace. Ninth Grandaunt said that you were the murderer. I find it very strange. Did you do something that caused her to misunderstand? No. Perhaps she was traumatized and became delirious. The emperor thought about it and didn't rule out this possibility. However, for some reason, he still felt that something was wrong. He stared at Princess Xinyang. On the day of the incident, where were you? I heard that you left the city. Princess Xinyang's expression didn't change. I went to visit ninth granduncle. Ninth grandaunt came to find me that day and said that ninth granduncle's health was not good and wanted to see me before he passed away. I quickly went, but who knew that I would encounter a natural disaster along the way? I was stopped at the relay station. If your majesty doesn't believe me, you can send someone to ask. Princess Xinyang stayed at the relay station for a night before returning to the capital the next day. The people at the relay station could testify. Where is Marquis Xianping? The emperor asked. It had to be said that the matter between imperial concubine Jing and Qin Fengyan had allowed the emperor to grow up. If it was in the past, he definitely wouldn't have suspected Princess Xinyang, but now he was much more cautious. But Princess Xinyang was not someone to be trifled with. She seamlessly said, I didn't know about the storm. Aheng heard that I left the city and was worried that I would encounter a landslide or mudslide. Thus she quickly chased after me. Her father was worried about her and also followed her. Aheng was worried about the village and wanted to see if everyone had been evacuated. As a result, she found an infant that had fallen into a dry well. Risking her life, she rescued the infant. Both were heavily injured because of this. The matter of Marquis Xianping leaving the relay station in the middle of the night was only known to Gu Jiao's group. Gu Chengfeng had disguised himself as Marquis Xianping and returned to the capital. He had even spoken a few words with the guards at the city gates. This was something that could be investigated. Marquis Xianping also had a perfect alibi. Princess Xinyang continued. After that, the two stayed in by Shui Alley to recover. They never left. The one recovering a few days ago was Gu Chengfeng, but his face was covered in bandages. Who could recognize him? They called him Lord Marquis, so everyone in the neighborhood knew that it was Lord Marquis. The emperor could go ahead and investigate. Everyone in the alley would say that Marquis Xianping had been there for a few days. The emperor nodded. The second day after Aheng returned to the capital, she went to the palace. We saw her at Rinshou Palace, but we did not speak much. She was too tired and fell asleep. This was also to provide an alibi for Marquis Xianping ahead of time. Both of them were recovering in by Shui Alley. As long as Xiaoheng was real, no one would suspect that the Marquis Xianping everyone was talking about was fake. Leaving the imperial palace, Princess Xinyang went to Bai Shui Alley. Marquis Xianping was sunbathing alone in the courtyard. He looked meaningfully at Princess Xinyang, who hated that she could not appear 8 times a day. Qin Fengwan, you've been coming a little too often recently. You shouldn't have taken a fancy to this Marquis, right? It's best if you give up. This Marquis is protecting you because you are this Marquis wife in name, and the mother of this Marquis son. It's not that this Marquis has any feelings for you. Princess Xinyang coldly said. I came to see my son. Marquis Xianping looked at her a few times without blinking. Shaking his head, he said, I don't believe you. Princess Xinyang. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428226/108195568. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion's mobile reading website. Chapter 609. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels can be read for free. Novels with connotations that cannot be found online can be found here. Princess Xinyang gritted her teeth and said, These 3 words again. Other than saying that I don't believe you, what else can you say? Marquis Xianping thought seriously and said, You're stubborn. Princess Xinyang again. Princess Xinyang felt that she could not stay here any longer. Otherwise, if she was not angered to death by him, she would vomit to death. It seemed that there was no difference between the two. Princess Xinyang angrily walked away. She had indeed come to see her son, but she had been so angered by Marquis Xianping that she had forgotten what she had come here for. She only wanted to get as far away from this guy as possible. She turned around and boarded the carriage heading back to Vermilion Bird Avenue. Marquis Xianping watched her receding figure and clicked his tongue. And you say you're not here to see me? The deaths of the old King Liang and the old princess consort had caused quite a stir in the capital city and Pingel Prefecture City. It was said that the old King Liang had been murdered for revenge. Thinking about it, the old King Liang had a good reputation when he was alive. He was gentle and kind, so how could he have enemies? As for Princess Consort Liang's death, it was even more strange. She had been struck to death by lightning. The ancients were superstitious. How much sin must a person have committed to be struck by lightning? Could it be that Princess Consort Liang hired someone to kill King Liang? In the tea house, people were discussing this matter. A young man said, Princess Consort Liang? Where did this come from? A middle-aged uncle said, Have you never been married? How many couples appear to love each other on the surface, but secretly become enemies? If you ask me, who in this world wants me to die the most? It's definitely my wife. Many people in the tea house could empathize with these words, especially the women who had come to buy tea for their husbands. Every day, they wished they could beat their husbands to death. But then again, it was one thing to be angry, and another to actually do it. If old Liang Wang really forced old Liang Wang Fei to kill him, at the very least, old Liang Wang must have done something that she could not tolerate. A destitute scholar in his 30s walked over with a jug of wine in his hand. He was half drunk and half sober. He sat down at their table and said, I heard that King Liang dotes on the son of a concubine. He wants to remove his eldest son from the throne and make the son of a concubine King Liang. Is that so? The young man from before asked. The scholar took a sip of wine and took out a folding fan to fan himself. He said in a serious tone, King Liang and his first wife were not on good terms. For the sake of an outsider, he could even beat up his eldest son. Princess Consort. When she was young, she had lived in the Liang King estate. Because of a quarrel between her and the eldest son, the old King Liang had turned around and beaten the eldest son half to death. Princess Consort. Was he standing up for Princess Xinyang? No. He is slapping old Liang Wangfei's face. Really? The middle-aged man asked. The scholar closed his fan and said seriously, It's absolutely true. All these years, if it wasn't for old Liang Princess Consort guarding against him, both mother and son would have died countless times. The young man asked, Is King Liang still a good person? The scholar said, He's a good person, but he's not a good man. He wants to spoil his concubine and destroy his wife. He had been seriously ill for 10 years and was beyond cure. Yet he was still wondering how to pass the throne to his bastard son. I also heard that he took advantage of the time when old Princess Consort Liang was bringing her eldest son, King Liang, to the capital to secretly summon the steward of the estate. He had the steward write a letter on his behalf, requesting that his eldest son be removed from the throne, and that his bastard son be King Liang. Old Liang Princess Consort accidentally found out about this matter, and became angry out of humiliation. So she hired someone to kill him. Another middle-aged merchant said, That seems to make sense. If it wasn't done by someone familiar with the Liang household, how could we not find any clues? The others immediately agreed. That's right. There was a hubbub of voices below the tea house. Old Liang Wang's story was getting more and more ridiculous. The old chancellor who was about to pass a story to the storyteller upstairs was stunned. You guys have rich imaginations and can make up stories better than me. I instantly felt that my story was too weak, okay? The storyteller grabbed the other end of the story and couldn't pull it over after a long time. He smiled embarrassedly and said, Sir, are you selling this story or not? The old chancellor pulled back the story of old Liang Wang in his hands. No, I'm not selling it. This bunch of people with wild imaginations had already lost their livelihood. Because there was no evidence, old Liang Wang's case was left unsettled. To put it bluntly, the emperor had also believed the groundless rumors of the people. How could a person who didn't do anything wrong be struck to death by lightning? Could it really have been done by old Liang princess consort? As a result, the emperor ordered a thorough investigation of the Liang household. The relay station reported to the local yamen that there would be a natural disaster the next night. They told the villagers to evacuate quickly. The people from the yamen didn't really believe in the possibility of a natural disaster. However, because it was an order from the emperor, they didn't dare to neglect it. The yamen went to the village in the afternoon to persuade the villagers to leave. At that time, the rainstorm had already begun. At first, the villagers refused to leave, especially the elderly. They said that they would rather die here than move. The yamen used both the carrot and the stick. In the middle of the night, they finally convinced the villagers to evacuate. When the sky darkened and the rain poured down, the yamen escorted the villagers to evacuate overnight. At that time, their son was lying together with a big winter melon. They took the winter melon away and left their son behind. It's too chaotic. We put him in the basket and thought he was our son. Our family has old people and young children. There are a total of 3 rooms. When we arrived at the settlement, the rooms separated. The child's grandparents took the basket away. We thought the child was with them, and they thought the child was with us. Later on, I said to bring the child over. His grandparents were old. We didn't know until we got there. When the woman said this, she was already choking with sobs. Gu Jiao didn't know what to say. To have such muddle-headed parents. It was really lucky that he had such good luck. The child must have found that his family was gone after he woke up. He crawled around to look for them and accidentally climbed onto the cover of the well. A 1-year-old child could stand up and walk a few steps. The well wasn't very high, so it wasn't difficult for him to climb up. The secret guard was very fast. It didn't take long for him to inform Princess Xinyang. What was surprising was that Princess Xinyang had personally brought Yujin and the child over. The child was in Yujin's arms. This is Princess Xinyang, Gu Jiao introduced. The group hurriedly bowed to Princess Xinyang. The husband and wife looked at the child in Yujin's arms. They were so excited that they couldn't immediately throw themselves at her. Princess Xinyang asked the two about what had happened. Her expression was somewhat indifferent. Are you sure it's your child? What does your child look like? The husband and wife described a few of the child's characteristics, including that his toes were curled up tighter than normal babies. Yujin nodded at Princess Xinyang. She didn't say anything wrong. Princess Xinyang had looked after the child for many days. Of course, she knew that everything they said was accurate. She didn't even need to ask. The way a mother looked at her child couldn't be faked. Princess Xinyang looked indifferently at the husband and wife whose eyes were red. She said sternly, "Don't be so careless in the future. You can even carry your own child by mistake. He fell down the well, and now he has pneumonia. What if no one went to your village? No one heard his cries. No one could cure his illness. You." Halfway through, Princess Xinyang seemed to realize that her words carried emotions. She stopped in time and looked at the child one last time. She restrained herself from reaching out to hold him. She only said to Yujin, "Carry him over." Yes. Yujin complied. She walked over and carried the child to the woman. The child was asleep at the moment and didn't react. Princess Xinyang glanced at the child a few times. It wasn't clear if she was hoping that he would wake up. The lost child was recovered. The husband and wife were moved to tears. After expressing their thanks again and again, they left with the child under the guidance of the officials. Gu Jiao continued to dry the herbs. Yujin helped her. Princess Xinyang went to see her son. In reality, the child was saved by Marquis Xianping and Xiaoheng. The husband and wife also wanted to thank them. However, they didn't like this kind of scene and stayed in the room the whole time. Princess Xinyang had just entered the room when she saw Marquis Xianping's wheelchair blocking her way. Princess Xinyang was angry at the sight of this person. She didn't want to face him. Marquis Xianping raised his eyebrows. What? You can't bear to part with the child? Princess Xinyang didn't bother to pay attention to him and walked forward. Marquis Xianping's eyes followed her. If you want children, you can have another one. Princess Xinyang chuckled. With whom? You? Marquis Xianping boasted shamelessly. I'm not very interested in you right now. I'm afraid it won't be that easy for you to have children with me. Who wants to have children with you? I'm being sarcastic. Do you understand sarcasm? Princess Xinyang took a deep breath. She was a princess. She couldn't lose her composure. She had to be calm. He was a pumpkin. He was farting. Princess Xinyang walked forward without looking back. Marquis Xianping sneakily stretched out his plaster leg. I'll block. Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang's temper flared up. Coincidentally, Gu Jiao's medicine box was on the table next to Marquis Xianping. She grabbed the medicine box and threw it at Marquis Xianping. Marquis Xianping raised his plaster arm and firmly caught the medicine box. I'll block again. Princess Xinyang wanted to take out the medicine chest, but after a few tries, she failed. Marquis Xianping was smug. Princess Xinyang was so angry that she wanted to kick him. Marquis Xianping's entire body, including his neck, was in a plaster cast, so she couldn't find a suitable place to kick him. Suddenly, her gaze landed on an unspeakable part of him. Marquis Xianping's eyebrows twitched, and he hurriedly blocked the medicine box. Princess Xinyang's kick directly overturned the medicine box, and the medicine inside poured out. Princess Xinyang didn't expect this to happen. Her expression changed, and she hurriedly squatted down to pick it up. These herbs were very precious. She couldn't spoil them. The herbs spilled all over Marquis Xianping's body, so Princess Xinyang could only pick them up one by one. Marquis Xianping looked deeply at her and said righteously, "Qin Fengwan, can you not use this method to take advantage of me? Princess Xinyang, give me a knife. I can really kill you right now." After she put away the medicine box, she stood up and looked down at Marquis Xianping. In the end, she decided not to lower herself and squabble with this kind of person. After Gu Jiao finished drying the herbs, she returned to the main room. Marquis Xianping and Princess Xinyang weren't there, so she took the medicine box back to the east room to count the herbs. Then she realized that something was wrong. What kind of medicine are these blue bottles? It looked like the calcium gluconate oral liquid she gave little Jing Kong. But when she picked it up to take a look, she almost smashed the medicine box. Psychedelic number 1. This was the kind of medicine developed by the Research Institute. It was commonly known as an aphrodisiac. The entire psychedelic series was like this, but number 1 was a top-notch medicine. Who needs this kind of thing? Do I need this when I pounce on my husband? If you continue to be so indecent, I'll really burn you. A gust of evening wind blew past, and the medicine box was as quiet as a chicken. The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428226/1081767884. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Go mobile reading website. Chapter 610. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more interesting content. The novel was updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels were free to read. There were all kinds of novels that couldn't be found on the internet. Little Jing Kong returned from the Imperial College at around 5 p.m. Jiao. The first thing he did when he entered the house was to throw his bag away and look for Gu Jiao. Recently, there were many patients at home. Gu Jiao basically stayed at home except for patients with critical conditions. Little Jing Kong didn't find Gu Jiao in the courtyard, so he went to Gu Jiao's east room. The east room was also empty. Little Jing Kong didn't give up and looked around, even under the bed. He squatted on the ground and scratched his little head in confusion. Where's Jiao Jiao? Where did Jiao Jiao go? Little Jing Kong decided to continue searching in other rooms. However, the moment he got up, he unexpectedly saw a little thing lying on the ground. It was blue and looked a little familiar. Little Jing Kong picked up the soft little blue bottle. Wow! It's something delicious. In order to make little Jing Kong grow taller, Gu Jiao had tried all kinds of methods, such as giving him oral calcium supplements. However, he only drank it for half a month and then stopped. Little Jing Kong missed the sweet and sour taste. Slurp, little Jing Kong swallowed his saliva. Jiao Jiao only gave him one bottle at a time. There were 2 bottles here. Yes, he wanted to hide them. Little Jing Kong quietly put the 2 small bottles into his pocket. His little action of hiding things was the same as Empress Dowager Zhuang hiding the candied fruits. After hiding the treasures, he put his little hands behind his back, raised his head, and walked out casually, just like his great-aunt, Old Zhao. Let's play cards. There were more and more people in the house, so they couldn't live here. Fortunately, the house next door was connected, and the house and courtyard next door were maximized. Little Jing Kong couldn't find Gu Jiao because Gu Jiao went to the backyard next door to build a rehabilitation center for Huang Fuxian. Little Jing Kong heard the clanking sounds and his eyes lit up. Jiao Jiao! He quickly ran to the backyard. Now that the backyard of the 2 houses was connected, it was very convenient to come and go. Gu Jiao and Gu Shaoshan were busy working in a pile of wood. When they saw him running over, Little Jing Kong said, Jing Kong, Little Jing Kong. There are nails on the ground. Oh, Little Jing Jiao Jiao. Little Jing Kong's SSS Jiao Jiao's Little Jing Kong sighed. Okay. Little Jing Kong went back to the front yard. Xiao Ba and Xiao Jiao were chewing and pecking at his school bag. The dog and eagle still had the habit of tearing down the house. Little Jing Kong picked up the school bag he threw on the ground, lowered his head, and dragged the school bag to the west room. Today's questions were a little difficult, and he couldn't solve one of them. He thought for a while, jumped down from the chair, and went to the study to find his bad brother-in-law. The door was half closed. He pushed the door open, and there was someone in the study. It wasn't his bad brother-in-law, but his mother, Princess Xinyang. Princess. Little Jing Kong went forward and greeted her politely. Princess Xinyang was standing in front of a row of bookshelves, with her back facing the door. Hearing this, she raised her hand and wiped her eyes. She turned around and said gently, Oh, it's Jing Kong. Why are you here? Are you looking for your brother-in-law? Little Jing Kong looked at her and nodded honestly. Yes, I don't know how to solve one question. Princess Xinyang reached out her hand and said gently, Your brother-in-law isn't here. Let me take a look. Okay. Little Jing Kong handed her the paper in his hand. Princess Xinyang took it, read it carefully and said, This is a sentence from the Book of Songs. You haven't learned this part yet, right? Little Jing Kong nodded again. Yes. Come, I'll teach you. Princess Xinyang reached out her hand to him. Little Jing Kong came to Princess Xinyang's side, climbed onto the chair and sat down. Princess Xinyang read the sentence for him, but he kept staring at Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang noticed his gaze and asked, What's wrong? Have you cried? Little Jing Kong asked. No. Princess Xinyang subconsciously denied. Oh. Children were easy to believe in certain things, especially Princess Xinyang, who had a good reputation. Little Jing Kong thought for a while and said, You don't look very happy. Is there something bothering you? Princess Xinyang paused for a while and said, It's not a big problem. Little Jing Kong said, Then it's just a small problem. Are you worried about my bad brother-in-law? Alas, don't worry. Although my bad brother-in-law is a little clumsy, his cooking is terrible, and he's not very smart. He always comes in last place, but at least he's an official. Look at Master Zhao's grandson next door. He's about the same age as my bad brother-in-law, but he's always idling around. He's so worried that his hair has turned white. He said earnestly, which amused Princess Xinyang. Why did a 5-year-old seem to be worried about a 50-year-old? Little Jing Kong always said that he disliked Xiaoheng, but he respected Xiaoheng's mother very much, just like how he respected Gu Jiao's mother. He thought for a while and reluctantly took out a small bottle from his pocket. Princess, this is for you. After thinking for a while, he took out another bottle. Forget it, I'll give you both. What is it? Princess Xinyang asked. Little Jing Kong said. It's something very delicious. Adults can drink it too. I saw Jiao Jiao give it to Great Aunt last time. Princess Xinyang looked at the small blue bottle in her hand and asked, Is it medicine? Little Jing Kong said seriously, Yes, I don't know. Great Aunt had a cramp in her leg last time, so Jiao Jiao gave it to her. But I didn't have a cramp, so Jiao Jiao gave it to me too. Princess Xinyang returned it to him. Then you can keep it for yourself. Little Jing Kong stuffed the small blue bottle back. No need, I'm not sad. Princess Xinyang was indeed sad. But it wasn't because she was worried about Xiao Heng. Xiao Heng had grown up and had the ability to take care of himself. She didn't need to worry about him day and night. She was thinking about Xiao Qing, who died young because of the child today. She held the small bottle in her hand, endured the pain in her heart, and asked, Will you really not be sad after drinking it? Little Jing Kong nodded like he was pounding garlic. Yes. I'm very happy every time I drink it. Princess Xinyang choked with sobs and smiled. Then I'll accept it. Thank you. Little Jing Kong took the questions back to the West Room and continued to do his homework. Princess Xinyang went next door to say goodbye to Gu Jiao and Xiao Heng, then returned to Vermilion Bird Avenue. During dinner, Eugène's leg was limping. Princess Xinyang asked strangely, What's wrong with your leg? Eugène said in pain, I just had a cramp. Let me take a look, Princess Xinyang said. Eugène smiled. No need, it's not a big deal. I'll be fine tomorrow. Princess Xinyang was silent for a moment, then took out 2 small bottles from her purse and handed them to her. Take these and drink them. They can cure your leg cramps. On the other side, Gu Jiao and Gu Xiaoshan were busy for the whole afternoon. They finally finished building a full set of rehabilitation facilities. Starting tomorrow, Huang Fuxian could start systematic rehabilitation training. This was going to be a long and painful process. During this time, Huang Fuxian needed to have strong endurance and willpower. Walking was not as easy as he thought. After throwing away his crutches, the pain caused by every step was like 1,000 arrows piercing his heart. Are you scared? Gu Jiao asked Huang Fuxian. If I'm scared, is there any medicine that can stop the pain? Huang Fuxian asked back. No, Gu Jiao said. Painkillers all had side effects. It was best not to use them if possible. Huang Fuxian took a deep breath. Then I'm not scared. He could only be scared. Gu Jiao handed him the crutches. Get used to it first. Okay. Huang Fuxian took the crutches and slowly stood up with Gu Xiaoshuan's help. Half of his weight was on the crutches, and the other half was on Gu Xiaoshuan's arm that was supporting him from behind. In fact, he could already feel the pain in his stump. He couldn't imagine what it would be like to throw away the crutches. Gu Jiao began to clean the courtyard. Yuya suddenly walked over with an unfinished bowl. Eldest young miss. What's wrong? Gu Jiao asked. Yuya did not speak. She only looked awkwardly in the direction of her courtyard's front door. Gu Jiao had heard the sound of a carriage just now. She did not pay much attention to it, but seeing Yuya's movements, it seemed that an uninvited guest had come. Okay, I'll go take a look. Gu Jiao put down the broom. Yuya said, I'll clean later. I'm almost done washing. Gu Jiao made a sound of acknowledgement and went to the main room. Then, she saw Gu Jinyu, who had not been married for a long time. Gu Jinyu had been peacefully waiting for the marriage in the past few days and had not left the house. Not long ago, the Zhuang family's property was confiscated. Other than Royal Prince An's entire family being exiled, Gu Jinyu and Royal Prince An's marriage was also affected. You're here to find Zhuang Yuheng? Gu Jiao asked. Zhuang. Gu Jinyu was surprised by how Gu Jiao addressed Royal Prince An, but she did not say anything. She said in a low voice, I'm here to find elder sister. She looked much more haggard. Her cheeks were thinner. This was not strange. This marriage was not glorious. After that, there were many wars in Zhao country, and the wedding date was pushed back again and again. Now that her fiancé had such an incident, it would be strange if she did not look haggard. Why are you looking for me? Gu Jiao asked mildly. Can I come in to talk to elder sister? Gu Jinyu stood awkwardly at the door and asked. Gu Jiao turned around and found a chair in the main room to sit down. Gu Jinyu and Gu Jiao were separated by a table and sat down on another chair. The moment she opened her mouth, tears welled up. Elder sister, I really know I was wrong. Please forgive me. Gu Jiao glanced at her mildly. What should I forgive you for? Gu Jinyu gripped her handkerchief tightly and sobbed. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have overestimated myself and always opposed elder sister. I shouldn't have pretended to be arrogant just because father doted on me. Elder sister, please give me one last chance to change for the sake of father and mother of the Gu family's third branch. Gu Jiao frowned in annoyance. Speak human. Gu Jinyu said with tears in her eyes. Father wants to break off my marriage with royal prince and I'm sure elder sister knows father's character. He also opposed your marriage with brother-in-law. Elder sister, help me. I don't want to break off the marriage. My chastity is Zhuang Yuheng's. I can't marry anyone else. Gu Jiao asked. Zhuang Yuheng has nothing now. Do you still insist on marrying him? Gu Jinyu said firmly, yes. I don't know where he is now, but brother-in-law used to be his colleague. I'm sure he has a way to contact him. I hope elder sister can help me pass a message. If father comes to find him, please don't agree to father's request to break off the marriage. Gu Jiao glanced at her and said, Zhuang Yuheng is next door. You can tell him this yourself. Gu Jinyu went next door with a face full of surprise. Royal Prince and was packing his luggage. When he heard that Gu Jinyu was looking for him, he hesitated for a moment before going to the main room to see her. Royal Prince. When Gu Jinyu saw him, the pain of longing filled her heart. Her eyes turned red again. Royal Prince adhered to etiquette and kept a suitable distance from her. He said politely, Miss Gu, why are you looking for me? Gu Jinyu repeated what she said to Gu Jiao just now. Royal Prince looked down and sighed. I'm grateful that Miss Gu doesn't abandon me. However, does Miss Gu really want to marry me? Gu Jinyu looked at him with hurt. Are you suspecting me? If I don't really want to marry you, why would I ask you not to agree to my father's request to break off the marriage? Royal Prince explained. I'm not suspecting you. I'm just worried that Miss Gu will be wronged. I'm leaving the capital. The place I'm going to is thousands of miles away. I may not be able to come back in this lifetime. Gu Jinyu asked in confusion. Where are you going? Royal Prince said truthfully, the frontier fortress. My family has been exiled there. Gu Jinyu's expression changed. But you haven't been exiled. Royal Prince said calmly, I'm worried about them. Many of them deserved it, but there were also innocent people. For example, his two younger sisters had never participated in his grandfather's ambitions. Royal Prince continued, I've already submitted my resignation to the cabinet and asked His Majesty to remove me from the position of Royal Prince. So, if you really want to marry me, you can only follow me to the frontier fortress in the future and become a commoner. As he spoke, he looked steadily at Gu Jinyu. Miss Gu, are you still willing to accept this marriage? Gu Jinyu was stunned. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels can be read for free. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/108175154. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 611. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that cannot be found online are all available here. Royal Prince said. You don't need to immediately give me an answer. This is a big matter. Why don't you go back and think it over? Don't be impulsive and do something that you will regret in the future. After he finished speaking, he stood up and walked out of the room. He still had to pack his luggage. Gu Jinyu also stood up. Looking at his back, she said in a trembling voice, I'm willing. I'm willing to marry you. As long as you don't dislike my birth, I'm willing to go to the frontier with you. Royal Prince slowly turned around. When I was a royal prince, I never disliked your birth. Now I definitely won't. Gu Jinyu smiled with relief. Then that's good. Royal Prince looked deeply at her and said, however, your father might not agree. If you insist on marrying me, you can only choose to elope. I'm not afraid, Gu Jinyu said. Royal Prince said, good. Tomorrow morning, I will wait for you at the city gates. After Gu Jinyu left, Lu Quan walked over and looked at Royal Prince. His expression was hard to describe. You really want to bring her along? Gu Jinyu had once stolen Gu Jiao's credit and always caused trouble for Gu Jiao and Yao Shi. Lu Quan felt that she was a big problem. Royal Prince bitterly said, after all, we have an engagement. If she is willing to elope, I have no reason to disappoint her. After Gu Jinyu returned to Marquis Ding and Manor, she immediately chased out the maidservants in the room. The maidservants were dumbfounded. Young miss, what's wrong? A senior maidservant asked. Gu Jinyu pulled open the cabinet door and turned to look at the door, ordering, no one is allowed to come in. Young miss, what exactly happened? The senior maidservant came to the door and asked. I said, no one is allowed to come in. Gu Jinyu took out all the clothes in the cabinet. The senior maidservant had never seen Gu Jinyu lose her composure like this. How could she really ignore it? She pushed open the door and saw the bed covered in clothes. She was stunned and did not care about Gu Jinyu's orders. She walked into the room. Young miss, what are you doing? Why did you take out all the clothes? You. She then saw Gu Jinyu take a box and stuff all the clothes into it. The head maidservant hurriedly asked, Miss, are you moving out? Gu Jinyu said seriously, no one is allowed to control me. Also, no one is allowed to tell anyone about my return. The maidservants at the door looked at each other. The head maidservant had a bad premonition. She quietly gave them a look and said, go invite the Marquis. A nimble-footed servant girl went over. Marquis Gu happened to be at the manor today. The manor that Empress Dowager Zhuang had requested was finally completed after a series of renovations and expansions. Now there was only a handover ceremony left. He had invited the imperial astronomer to calculate the date. Right now he was waiting for the results in his residence. A young maidservant reported at the door. Marquis, please go and take a look. Something had happened to Miss. When you return to the residence, you immediately pack up the clothes and don't let the servants leak the news. Marquis Gu frowned and went to Gu Jinyu's courtyard without another word. Gu Jinyu finished packing up the box of clothes and started to pack up her jewelry. She had just opened the dressing table drawer when Marquis Gu strode in with his hands behind his back. Jinyu, what are you doing? He asked in a low voice. Gu Jinyu's body trembled. A high-quality pearl hairpin slipped from her palm and fell to the ground with a thud. The pearl flowers fell off. She turned around frantically and blocked the dressing table behind her. Father! Marquis Gu looked at the box on the ground that had not been closed, and then looked at the pearl hairpin that Gu Jinyu had accidentally broken. His gaze turned cold. Jinyu, you want to sneak out? Gu Jinyu stuttered. Marquis Gu looked coldly at the head maidservant. Where did Miss go today? The head maidservant said in a low voice. She went to Jade Water Alley. Marquis Gu's gaze turned cold. Did that girl bully you again? Gu Jinyu hurriedly said, no, father. It has nothing to do with sister. It was me. I saw Royal Prince and I wanted to go to the frontier fortress with him. Marquis Gu frowned. Frontier fortress? He's also been exiled? You. Gu Jinyu took a step forward and grabbed Marquis Gu's arm. Father. He's not exiled. He asked to go to the frontier fortress. He even resigned from the throne because of this. He's a good man who values relationships. I'm willing to follow him. Please grant me my wish. Marquis Gu said without hesitation. I don't agree. Gu Jinyu pleaded bitterly. I've already had physical contact with Royal Princein. How can I marry someone else in this lifetime? Marquis Gu said angrily. If you don't say anything about physical contact, I won't say anything and he won't tell anyone. Who will know? Gu Jiao was already married, but Marquis Gu was unwilling to acknowledge that marriage. What more Gu Jinyu, who was not married yet? Gu Jinyu's eyes reddened. She knelt on the ground and said, Father, I'm sincere to Royal Prince and please grant my wish, Father. Marquis Gu was furious. If this was a son, he would beat him up. He gritted his teeth and looked at her. Jinyu, you're too young. Do you know what sincerity is? Back then, Princess Ning'an wasn't sincere to the prince consort. Guess what happened in the end? She died at the frontier fortress. I will never agree to you marrying a down and out. He used to think highly of Royal Princein. Now he looked down on Royal Princein. He was no longer the legitimate grandson of the #1 aristocratic family. What right did he have to be his son-in-law? She was his daughter after all. Marquis Gu could not bear to be too fierce. He softened his tone and said, Jinyu, you're my most beloved daughter. I won't let you go to the frontier fortress to suffer. But father. Jinyu, don't disappoint father. Marquis Gu unconsciously became more stern. Gu Jinyu had never angered Marquis Gu in her life. The maids were also shocked. Marquis Gu said coldly, You must have been led astray by that girl. She's disobedient and caused you to learn from her. Gu Jinyu choked. Father. Marquis Gu's gaze sharpened. Someone come. Marquis. The senior maid walked over. Marquis Gu ordered. From today onwards, guard the door day and night. Keep an eye on Miss and don't let her out. Otherwise, all of you can wait to be sold off. The senior maid looked at Gu Jinyu and bowed. Yes, Marquis. Marquis Gu strode away. Gu Jinyu chased after him. Father. Father. The maid stopped her in time. The senior maid consoled her. Miss, quickly enter the house. Don't make things difficult for us. Gu Jinyu's tears fell. Let me see father again, okay? I'll beg him again. The senior maid said earnestly. Miss, Marquis Gu is doing this for your own good. And prefecture. Zhuang. Master Zhuang has nothing now. He's just a commoner. If you marry him, you won't have a good life. I understand that you're kind-hearted and can't bear to abandon your fiancé at this time. But don't you think for Marquis Gu? He dotes on you so much. What if he misses his daughter when you're not by his side? Gu Jinyu fell to the ground. She covered her face and sobbed. Second miss is just too kind-hearted. Who can be like eldest miss? She only has her own husband in her heart and doesn't have Marquis Gu as her father. Isn't that because her husband is capable? Her husband was the best student in the academy in the countryside. Eldest miss forced him to marry her because she fancied him as the top scholar. If Lord Xiao had been useless or exiled, do you think eldest miss would still have been willing to follow him? Our second miss is still the most sincere. It's a pity that they are not fated to be together. They are destined to never be husband and wife. In the dead of the night, the maids' discussion in the corridor gradually died down. Gu Jinyu sat quietly in the room. There was no light or food brought in by the maids. All of a sudden, the commotion outside stopped completely. She looked up and saw a black shadow flash past the window. The next moment, the door was pushed open and the black shadow darted in. Gu Jinyu jumped in fright and stood up from the stool. She looked at the other party in horror. Who are you? The other party didn't say anything. Instead, he stepped to the side, and a thin young man walked in casually. It's me, the youth said. Gu Jinyu was taken aback. Yana? It's so late. Why did you bring someone to my room? Gu Yan's body was much better than before. Not only had he lived past 15, he was full of energy and was no different from a normal person. Gu Yan raised his brows and looked at the chests and jewelry boxes in the room. He said, Since we are siblings, I'm here to help you one last time. Otherwise, you'll say that my younger brother is biased and only knows how to pamper Gu Jiao. Gu Jinyu looked at him in confusion. Gu Yan hooked his finger at Secret Guard A and Secret Guard B, who were guarding the door. He said, Come in and send my second sister out of the city tonight. Use the Renshou Palace token that the Empress Dowager gave me. Gu Jinyu was so shocked by the first sentence that she forgot to be shocked that he had the Rensho Palace token in his hand. You. What? So happy that you can't speak? Don't be like this. I always bullied you in the past. It's my fault. I'm here today to make it up to you. I've prepared some travel expenses for you. If you live frugally, it should be enough to support you until you reach the border. As he spoke, he took out a 50 taels banknote and handed it to Secret Guard A. Secret Guard tactfully stuffed the banknote into Gu Jinyu's jewelry box. 50 taels. Gu Jinyu bought a bolt of cloth for more than this in the capital. Gu Jinyu gaped and looked at Gu Yen in panic. Yen, are you? Gu Yen said impatiently, hurry up. Those knockout drugs won't last long. They will wake up soon. If my father finds out, my second sister won't be able to leave. Yes. Secret Guard came to Gu Jinyu's side. Second miss, sorry to offend you. Gu Jinyu's face turned pale. What are you doing? Secret Guard carried Gu Jinyu over his shoulder. Secret Guard B grabbed the chests with one hand and the jewelry box with the other, and quickly followed. Gu Jinyu was flustered. Gu Yen smiled reassuringly. Don't worry. My Secret Guard's martial arts are very good. The guards in the residence won't find out. You can leave the city in peace and elope with my second brother-in-law. Gu Jinyu. Gu Yen. Don't shout. You'll draw father here. Or do you want to draw father here so that father will stop you? Then it looks like you don't have much sincerity towards my second brother-in-law. Gu Jinyu choked. If father finds out, father will punish you. I'll be fine after I leave. What about you? I don't want to implicate you. Put me down. I'll think of something myself. In the entire residence, the person father will not punish the least is me. Even if he hits Gu Xiaobao, he won't hit me. Gu Yen raised his brows and said, I'm sick. Gu Jinyu. Who's there? A familiar voice suddenly sounded from a small path not far away. Gu Jinyu was delighted and shouted, Yen, leave quickly. Second brother is here. His voice almost reached the old madam's courtyard. Gu Chengfeng walked over quickly, and Gu Chenglin was with him. The two brothers looked at the swaggering Gu Yen, and then at Gu Jinyu, who was being carried on the Secret Guard's shoulders. They were both shocked. Gu Chengfeng asked, What are you doing? Without waiting for Gu Yan's reply, Gu Jinyu sobbed and said, Second brother, please persuade Yener. He wants to help me escape from the residence, but I don't want to implicate him. Escape from the residence? What are you talking about? Gu Chengfeng looked at Gu Yen in confusion. Gu Yen sighed. Isn't my second brother-in-law going to the frontier fortress on his own? Second sister has deep feelings for him, and doesn't want to betray him when he's down and out. So, she decided to elope with him and continue to fulfill their marriage agreement at the frontier. Ordinary families could not do something like eloping. It was a disgrace to the family, and it would greatly affect the marriage of other children. Gu Chengfeng frowned and thought for a while. Gu Yen, what you're doing is indeed inappropriate. Gu Jinyu was delighted. Second brother was going to stop her. All right, put her down, Gu Chengfeng said to the Secret Guard. The Secret Guard looked at his young master. The young master nodded, and the Secret Guard placed Gu Jinyu back on the ground. Gu Chengfeng said to Gu Jinyu with a complicated expression, We're siblings. I'll still help you with this small matter. I'll take you out of the city. Gu Jinyu. Gu Chenglin said, Second brother, I want to leave the city too. Gu Chengfeng said unhappily, What are you going to do? Has your hair grown out? Feeling wronged, Gu Chenglin touched his half-grown hair on his head. Gu Jinyu felt a lump in her throat. Second brother, Gu Chengfeng waved his hand. All right, don't say anything else. Let's go. Gu Jinyu's eyes flashed. Second brother, I'll implicate you. I can't be so selfish. I'll go by myself. I can think of a way. Gu Chengfeng looked sideways at her. You're still thinking of us at a time like this. It looks like I've wronged you in the past. You're not a heartless person. Don't worry, my Qinggong is better than Gu Yan's Secret Guard. No one will discover that I've taken you away. These were Gu Chengfeng's heartfelt words. Gu Chengfeng grabbed Gu Jinyu's wrist. No. Second brother. Gu Jinyu was really about to cry now. Second brother. Second brother. Eldest brother. She saw Gu Chongqing, who had returned to the residence on horseback. Eldest brother, why are you here? Gu Qingfeng frowned. Gu Chongqing rode up to them and looked down at them. His gaze landed on the crying Gu Jinyu. What's wrong? Gu Yan told Gu Chongqing what he had said to Gu Qingfeng just now. Gu Jinyu sobbed and pleaded. Eldest brother, second brother and Yener didn't do it on purpose. I won't go. I'll be good. Don't be angry with them. Don't tell grandfather and father. I'm afraid they'll punish second brother. No one could bear to punish Gu Yan, but Gu Qingfeng was often punished. Second brother, let go of me, Gu Jinyu said with red eyes. Don't be silly for me. Let's pretend nothing happened today. Go back with eldest brother obediently. I can't implicate my own brothers for my own selfish reasons. Although Jinyu is not their biological child, I understand that the kindness of birth is not as great as the kindness of upbringing. My brothers in Yen have never mistreated Jinyu since I was young. Jinyu has nothing to repay you with. I only hope that I won't implicate you. Gu Chongqing frowned and looked at Gu Jinyu, whose eyes were red and swollen. You're really willing to follow Zhuang Yuheng to the frontier fortress? Gu Jinyu was stunned again. An ominous feeling rose in her heart. I'm willing to be with someone of my heart and never part. Gu Chongqing seemed to have thought of something. It was rare that he did not reveal his cold and hard side. He sighed slowly and said, forget it. Zhuang Yuheng is virtuous, loyal, and kind. He's a man you can entrust your life to. If you insist on marrying, then go ahead. I'll talk to father. I won't make things difficult for you. Gu Jinyu was almost choked to death by his brothers. He's leaving tomorrow morning. Gu Chongqing's frown deepened. Can't you change the date? Gu Jinyu said. It can't be changed. It's already set. It won't do if the wedding is too hasty. Gu Chongqing was silent. After a while he said, then you go to the frontier fortress first. Coincidentally, his family is also at the frontier fortress. It's more suitable for your wedding to be held there. Gu Jinyu was thunderstruck. Gu Chongqing said to Gu Qingfeng, all right, send Jinyu out of the city first. Gu Jinyu panicked. Eldest brother. Eldest brother. I'm not leaving. I'm not marrying. Gu Chongqing said. Father won't blame you. I'll convince father. Gu Qingfeng was about to use his qinggong to take Gu Jinyu away. Gu Jinyu was so frightened that she cried out. I don't want to marry. I don't want to marry him. I don't want to go to the frontier fortress to suffer. I don't want to be a commoner. Gu Chongqing frowned. But didn't you say you were willing to marry him? Gu Jinyu wailed. I was lying. I said that on purpose. I also packed my things on purpose to alarm father. I knew father would definitely stop me. My father? Royal Princein? She was halfway through crying when she saw Marquis Gu and Royal Princein, who had arrived at some point. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1081541333. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikaga mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 612. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are read for free. Novels with a deeper meaning that cannot be found online are available here. This is awkward. It has never been so awkward in 16 years. Gu Jinyu never expected that Marquis Gu and Zhuang Yuheng would appear here in the middle of the night. It was understandable that Marquis Gu was passing by. After all, he was the master of the Marquis' residence. But what was up with Zhuang Yuheng? Why was he here? Thinking of what she had said in her fluster earlier, Gu Jinyu felt terrible all over. She could only pray that they did not hear her. However, their expressions were completely different. They had heard everything. They had heard every word clearly. Gu Jinyu seemed to have been struck by lightning. She froze on the spot. The brothers were also surprised by Marquis Gu and Zhuang Yuheng's arrival, except for Gu Yan. Zhuang Yuheng had come in Gu Yan's carriage. Of course, Gu Yan knew that he was in the residence. He also knew that he had gone to look for Marquis Gu to discuss his marriage with Gu Jinyu. In reality, Zhuang Yuheng was a very responsible person. Before Gu Jinyu came, Marquis Gu had already looked for him in private to ask him to hand over the marriage certificate and call off their marriage. Marquis Gu was afraid that Gu Jinyu would be upset, and did not tell her. He thought that it would not be too late to let Gu Jinyu know after Zhuang Yuheng left. Anyway, Gu Jinyu would not be able to do anything then. But Gu Jinyu, who did not know, did something unnecessary. She found Zhuang Yuheng the day before he left, and would rather elope to marry him. She was affectionate and righteous. Even if Zhuang Yuheng did not have any romantic feelings for her, he could not leave her alone. But he would not really let her bear the reputation of eloping. He decided to come to the residence to discuss their marriage with Marquis Gu one last time. He would beg Marquis Gu to let Gu Jinyu marry him, and promise to treat her well for the rest of his life. The two of them had just finished exchanging pleasantries, and were about to get to the main topic when a servant came to report that the young masters in the garden were arguing. It seemed to be because of Gu Jinyu. If it was only a family matter, Zhuang Yuheng would not have followed. However, since it involved his fiancée, he still came to take a look. It wouldn't have mattered if he hadn't seen it, but now that he did, he was pleasantly surprised. It would be a lie to say that he was not disappointed. However, this was not disappointment in a relationship, but disappointment in human nature. For the sake of a good reputation, a person could actually fool the people around him to such an extent? That was good too. She didn't have to force herself to treat someone she didn't love with respect for the rest of her life. Gu Jinyu took in Zhuang Yuheng's expression. Her already flustered heart grew even more uneasy. Regional King. Let me explain. Zhuang Yuheng ignored her and turned to bow to Marquis Gu. Marquis. The Marquis of Gu was completely stunned by Gu Jinyu's words. He could not regain his senses for a long while. Zhuang Yuheng called him a few times before he regained his senses. He looked at Zhuang Yuheng as if he had just woken up from a dream. You said in the study earlier that you came to the residence to look for me. What was it again? Zhuang Yuheng paused and took out a marriage contract from his chest. I'm here to return the marriage contract. Since Miss Gu is unwilling to marry me, then it's better to call off this marriage. Call off. The Marquis of Gu's heart was in a mess. Although he had been looking forward to getting the marriage contract back, now that it was finally here, why was he not that happy? Marquis, please keep the marriage contract. Zhuang Yuheng saw that the Marquis of Gu did not extend his hand, and took the initiative to pass the marriage contract forward. Gu Yan walked over and took the marriage contract. All right, I'll keep it for my father. Zhuang Yuheng calmly said. If there's nothing else, I'll go back first. You can take my carriage back, Gu Yan said. All right. Zhuang Yuheng did not refuse. Zhuang Yuheng had nothing now. If he did not take the carriage back, he could only walk until he broke his legs. Gu Yan did not lack carriages, but Gu Yan did not owe him anything. Giving the carriage to him was a favor. After all, he had helped Gu Yan shovel chicken dung for so long and had allowed Gu Yan, the middleman, to earn the price difference. Of course, Gu Yan would treat him better. Zhuang Yuheng turned to leave. Gu Jinyu called out in a choked voice, Royal Prince! Royal Prince! Zhuang Yuheng turned slightly, and did not completely turn to face Gu Jinyu. He only said from a distance, I just want to ask Miss Gu, that time at the tea house, was it really just an accident? Gu Jinyu's entire body stiffened. Take care. Zhuang Yuheng did not say anything else and did not expect any answers. He disappeared into the night without looking back. Gu Jinyu watched as his side profile gradually disappeared. For a moment, a huge impulse surged from the bottom of her heart. She wanted to marry him. She wanted to marry such a responsible and upright man. Xiao Lulang, that little cripple, was able to achieve a meteoric rise. Why couldn't Zhuang Yuheng make a comeback? Earlier, she had been muddled by the cancellation of the engagement, and had forgotten to sit down and think about it. Zhuang Yuheng was able to live in Jade Water Lane. How bad could his relationship with Gu Jiao's family be? Gu Jiao and Xiao Lulang were favored by the Empress Dowager and His Majesty. Perhaps the Empress Dowager and His Majesty had tacitly allowed them to take Zhuang Yuheng in. From the looks of it, the Empress Dowager and His Majesty had not completely given up on Zhuang Yuheng. He had a chance to turn the tables. What commoner, what self-exile, it was all a show for the world to see. The Zhuang family was in big trouble. If they did not punish Zhuang Yuheng, the people would be angry. But when the people's anger subsided, they would be able to bring Zhuang Yuheng back to the capital. Gu Jinyu, who finally realized what she had missed, chased after Zhuang Yuheng without regard for anything else. Gu Yan discreetly stretched out his leg and tripped her. Ah! Gu Jinyu fell flat on her face. Actually, Gu Jinyu was thinking too much. Empress Dowager and His Majesty had never thought of putting on an act, especially Empress Dowager Zhuang. She was not afraid of the people's anger, and was even more unafraid of being scolded. If Zhuang Yuheng stayed in the capital, she would not make things difficult for him. But if Zhuang Yuheng wanted to go out on his own, she would not stop him. The child had grown up. She should learn to let go. Gu Jinyu did not know. She regretted it so much that her intestines turned green. But now was not the time to wallow in regret. Zhuang Yuheng had left, but there was still Marquis Gu, Gu Chongqing, and the other brothers. Gu Chongqing and the other two were very disappointed. Tonight's show was planned by Gu Yan. Gu Yan did not inform them in advance. Gu Chongqing and Gu Qingfeng really wanted to help Gu Jinyu leave. Although they had no feelings for Gu Jinyu's insistence on leaving Royal Prince and made them feel disgusted. I didn't expect it to be fake. As expected. I shouldn't have had any expectations for you. Gu Qingfeng said disdainfully. Gu Chongqing regained his usual cold expression. Yan, let's go. Gu Yan did not leave. He wanted to watch the show. Gu Chongqing directly pulled him onto the horse. It's so late. You should sleep. Staying up late is not good for your health. But I want to watch the show. Don't be naughty. Can't I be naughty? You've been naughty all night. When have I been naughty? Gu Yan's indignant snorts gradually faded away. Shadow Guard A and B also disappeared into thin air. Gu Qinglin also wanted to watch the show, but was pulled away by Gu Qingfeng. Only Marquis Gu and Gu Jinyu were left in the garden. Gu Jinyu looked at Marquis Gu helplessly. Father, let me explain. Marquis Gu asked in a daze. What's going on with the tea house? Gu Jinyu's expression changed. Father. Marquis Gu looked at her deeply. The tea house. Zhuang Yuheng was drugged, and you were almost molested by him. Is that what happened? Gu Yan suddenly came out from behind the tree. Of course not. She found out that Zhuang Yueshi wanted to harm someone, and went to join in the fun. She saw that Princeton was drugged. It was not Princeton who dragged her in through the door. She went in by herself. Gu Chongqing held his forehead helplessly and pulled him over. All right, are you done? Can you go back to sleep now? I haven't said enough. Gu Yan struggled out of Gu Chongqing's arms. He was taken away by Gu Chongqing, and then coaxed Gu Chongqing to use his lightness skill to bring him over. It was not easy for him to come over. He wanted to finish. He shouted at Marquis Gu across half the garden. Princeton asked her to run away. She did not run away. Princeton could not control himself and had no choice but to stab himself. She kept saying, What happened to you, Princeton? What happened to you? Do you want me to call a doctor for you? Call a damn doctor. You saw Zhuang Yueshi drugging him and you don't know what happened to him. Gu Chongqing could not listen to him anymore. He was so angry that he twitched. Who taught you to say such nonsense? Gu Yan used to be very obedient. Ever since Marquis Xianping moved into Baishui Alley, Gu Yan became more and more naughty. Gu Yan wanted to say more but his mouth was covered. The young man's body was mercilessly carried over by Gu Chongqing, and they left the residence with his lightness skill. Marquis Gu was not interested in the dispute between Zhuang Yueshi and Zhuang Yuheng. He only cared about what role Gu Jinyu played in it. He clenched his fists and looked at her. Is what Gu Yan said true? If these words were said by Gu Jiao, Marquis Gu would not believe a single word. He would only think that Gu Jiao was framing Gu Jinyu. To put it bluntly, he did not know Gu Jiao well enough. But he knew Gu Yan. Did Gu Yan need to frame Gu Jinyu for bullying him? He was doing it openly. I just want to bully you. What can you do to me? The whole family dotes on me because I'm sick. This was Gu Yan. Another important point was that this matter did not involve Gu Jiao. As long as it involved Gu Jiao, Marquis Gu would unconditionally side with Gu Jinyu. But now that there was only Gu Yan and Gu Jinyu, Marquis Gu could look at this matter relatively rationally. If Gu Yan mentioned that Prince An had feelings for Gu Jiao, this matter would be ruined. Gu Jinyu opened her mouth. Father, If Gu Jinyu was only unwilling to go to the border to suffer and at the same time wanted to gain a good reputation, it could still be treated as a little girl's vanity. But she took advantage of the situation to plot against Prince and to marry her. This was very distressing. Marquis Gu turned around in disappointment and clutched his chest. His heart was in so much pain. Digression. Looking for a 5-star review. Starry-eyed, the latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all the novels that you can't find online. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896422826/108153437. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 613. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels can be read for free. Novels with connotations that cannot be found online are all available here. After Gu Chongqing brought Gu Yan out of the residence, he rode on a horse to send Gu Yan back to Jade Water Alley. The two of them rode on the same horse with Gu Yan in front. The 16-year-old youth's body could not block Gu Chongqing's line of sight. Gu Chongqing held the reins tightly with both hands and encircled him in his arms. Gu Yan's excitement had worn off, and he was really a little sleepy now. His thin and weak body leaned against Gu Chongqing's firm chest, and his little head started to peck at the rice like a chicken. Gu Chongqing was both angry and amused. He freed an arm to hold his thin waist. Are you sleepy now? Gu Yan groaned in a daze and immediately sat up straight. He widened his eyes and said very clearly, I'm not sleepy. Gu Chongqing saw through him, but did not expose him. He smiled and asked again, How did you know about those things? Gu Yan said proudly, I investigated. I'm so smart. Gu Chongqing was so angry that he laughed and muttered, You're really not modest at all. He did not ask how Gu Yan investigated because Gu Yan had started to peck at the rice like a chicken again. But even if he did not ask, he could guess a thing or two. Zhuang Yuheng stayed in Jade Water Alley. Gu Yan must have accidentally found out about how Zhuang Yuheng was drugged by Zhuang Yueshi from him. Zhuang Yuheng did not suspect that Gu Jinyu's appearance was not a coincidence. He just thought that she was really just passing by and did not know anything. She was really concerned about him. Gu Yan, this little fox, was not so easy to fool. He might not have found conclusive evidence, but he had pieced together all the fragments of the incident and combined them with his understanding of Gu Jinyu to basically reconstruct the truth of that day. To put it bluntly, he was still guessing. But judging from Gu Jinyu's reaction, he had guessed correctly. Gu Chongqing looked down at Gu Yan, who had fallen asleep in his arms. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he said, You have such a bright brain. Why don't you use it on your studies? The next day, Zhuang Yuheng packed his luggage and boarded the carriage to the frontier fortress. Empress Dowager Zhuang also came to Baishui Alley to see him off. He was not an exiled person, but the frontier fortress was full of hardships. If he wanted to protect his sisters, He would have to suffer a little. Come back if you can't take it anymore. Beijing is your home. Empress Dowager Zhuang didn't say this out loud. Compared to going to the Chen nation as a hostage, Zhuang Yuheng's journey was far more important. He wasn't doing this for his country, nor was he doing this for anyone's ambitions. He was using a brand new identity to start a journey that was completely his own. He no longer relied on any power, nor did he receive any help. Every step he took, he had to start from scratch. This is for you. Xiao Heng took a book from the study and handed it to him. Didn't you want to learn the book from the Yan Kingdom? I organized it and made a few notes. It was a book about the arithmetic of the Yan Kingdom. It originally had notes, but Zhuang Yuheng's Yan language wasn't very good, so Xiao Heng translated it into the Zhao nation language. Xiao Heng's hands and feet were not well these days. It was clear that this book had been prepared long ago. Zhuang Yuheng took the book and said to Xiao Heng in the wheelchair, "If you can start from scratch, so can I." He knew Xiao Heng's identity. Strictly speaking, Xiao Heng's matter had motivated him. Since someone had done it, it meant that this path was feasible. Xiao Heng was only 14 years old when the accident happened. If 14-year-old Xiao Heng could do it, why couldn't he? Zhuang Yuheng said solemnly. Wait for the day I return to Beijing. Xiao Heng said. I'll wait and see. Empress Dowager Zhuang gave Zhuang Yuheng a brocade box. Zhuang Yuheng sat in the carriage and opened it. It was a hair crown. He was afraid that he would have to spend his 20th birthday on the road. This was the gift his great-aunt had prepared for him. He wiped his red eyes and smiled through his tears. Thank you, great-aunt. In the next few days, Marquis Gu went straight to the Ministry of Works. Gu Jinyu wanted to find him several times, but he couldn't even see his shadow. Xiao Heng's injuries were superficial. After resting for a few days, the bandages were finally removed. Marquis Xianping wasn't so lucky. His injuries were so severe that they reached the bone. He also disobeyed and rode the horse at night. He was hit by a big tree and his waist injury relapsed. In short, after Xiao Heng regained his freedom and returned to the officialdom, he was still a miserable big white, who could only sit in a wheelchair. He couldn't even play cards. Qin Fengwan. He sat in the courtyard and basked in the sun. He called Princess Xinyang, who was helping little Jing Kong tie his hair. Little Jing Kong's mushroom hair could be tied into a small ponytail. Princess Xinyang tied it for him patiently, and he was happy to let her do it. Princess Xinyang didn't want to bother with Marquis Xianping. Marquis Xianping raised his eyebrows. Don't always show that you're very close to the child in front of me. It's useless even if you hint. I won't have a child with you. Princess Xinyang was furious. She picked up the wicker basket on the ground and covered his head with it. Marquis Xianping, who was covered by a wicker basket, was speechless. Qin Fengwan. Take the wicker basket away. Qin Fengwan. How dare you? Qin Fengwan, Qin Fengwan. Gu Jiao had been doing something at home recently. She had requisitioned the old chancellor's front and backyards and always ran to the blacksmith shop. She was covered in dirt every day. Today, she came back from the blacksmith shop again. After washing up, she changed into dry clothes and went next door. It was time to rehabilitate Huang Fuxian. Today, Huang Fuxian would officially throw away his crutches and stand up with his hands on the railings on both sides. Huang Fuxian sat in the wheelchair and didn't dare to move. Gu Jiao came in front of him and maintained a distance where she could reach out and hug him. She said, Don't be afraid. Try standing up. Huang Fuxian hesitated. Huang Fuxian was shy. When he trained, there weren't many people present. Yuya, and Lu Quan deliberately didn't go to the backyard. Gu Jiao said, If you hesitate any longer, little Jing Kong will be here soon. Thinking of little mushroom, Huang Fuxian gritted his teeth. He didn't want little mushroom to look down on him or be disappointed. He took a deep breath and grabbed the 2 rows of railings in front of him. Gu Jiao looked at him. Stand up, Huang Fuxian. Huang Fuxian exerted strength in his arms, but his legs didn't listen to him. I can't stand up. He could walk a few steps with his crutches. How could he not even stand after losing his crutches? This was a kind of psychological dependence. Gu Jiao had to help Huang Fuxian get rid of it. Gu Jiao said again. Huang Fuxian, stand up. Huang Fuxian exerted all his strength. The veins on the back of his hands were bulging. However, just as he stood up a little, he felt a sharp pain in his broken limbs. He fell back into the wheelchair and broke out in a cold sweat. No. I can't stand up. Gu Jiao looked at him without blinking. She didn't say anything unnecessary. She just repeated, Huang Fuxian, stand up. Huang Fuxian, stand up. Stand up. Huang Fuxian's thoughts drifted back to that icy and snowy night. His mother had put him into the snow pit that she had dug out, using her thin body to block the wind and snow that filled the sky. Xian or live well. Huang Fuxian's eyes turned red. He gripped the armrest of the wheelchair tightly and gritted his teeth. He used the strength of his arms to support his body and slowly stood up. Pa. He put one hand on the right railing. Then, he put the other hand on the left railing. His arms began to tremble from the immense force he was exerting. Little by little, he channeled his strength into his legs. 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches. He gradually left the wheelchair. The pain from his stump caused his facial features to twist together. He almost fell back into the chair again. You're already half standing, Gu Jiao said. Huang Fuxian gritted his teeth again and stood up in one go. The sharp pain in his receiving cavity almost killed Huang Fuxian. His back was soaked in cold sweat, but he did stand up. Very good, Gu Jiao said calmly. Now let go of your left hand. Letting go wasn't the goal. The main thing was to not let him use his arm anymore. Huang Fuxian's throat moved. He slowly picked up his left hand. Gu Jiao put her hand under his palm in time, but didn't touch him. Now try to let go of your right hand. Huang Fuxian was very nervous. After he couldn't use his left arm, he used his right arm to support himself. He felt that his broken limbs were very painful. But after hesitating for a moment, he forced himself to let go. Gu Jiao held his hand weakly. He stood up completely on his own. He looked at his legs in disbelief, and then looked at Gu Jiao in front of him. I'll stand. He lost his balance and fell forward. Gu Jiao caught him in time. He let out a long sigh of relief. I said I wouldn't let you fall. Gu Jiao let him stand back up and put his hands on the railing. But you'll still fall in the future. Now you're just building the confidence to stand up. Okay. Huang Fuxian nodded. He wasn't so scared when he really crossed that hurdle. It was painful, but he already knew how painful it was. It doesn't hurt, he said. Gu Jiao said. Say that after you walk a few steps. Sure enough, Huang Fuxian was slapped in the face. It was too painful. Every step was like walking on the tip of a knife. Fortunately, the bone grinding was anesthetized. Gu Jiao thought that half of the pain was psychological, so it was normal. The first day of formal rehabilitation was to adapt. Gu Jiao didn't let him practice for too long. In less than an hour, he was back in the wheelchair. At this time, there was no dry spot on Huang Fuxian's body. Master, I've prepared the hot water. Lian saw that they were done practicing and walked out of the room with a smile. Huang Fuxian looked at Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao said, Go take a bath. Don't catch a cold. Okay. Huang Fuxian nodded. Gu Jiao turned back to her side. Huang Fuxian suddenly called out to her. Dr. Gu, thank you. Gu Jiao nodded. Gu Jiao left the backyard of her master's house. As soon as she entered her own backyard, she saw her grandaunt sitting in the hallway. She stood in her grandaunt's position and looked in the direction of the rehabilitation field. She suddenly understood what her grandaunt was looking at. Not playing cards anymore? Gu Jiao asked with a smile. I'll go play now. Empress Dowager Zhuang raised her chin and walked out. Lu Cuihua. We need one more. Empress Dowager Zhuang was in a good mood today. When she played cards, she went easy, so the neighbors lost less money. Gu Jiao returned to the east room. Little Jing Kong didn't go to class today. He just went to play with Princess Xinyang. At this time, he ran in with a few knots on his head. Jiao 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 Jiao. Gu Jiao looked back at him. He put his little head in front of Gu Jiao. Jiao Jiao, look. Gu Jiao grabbed his knots. You look good. In a few months, he would be able to tie his hair into a small bun. Little Jing Kong was happy and shy. The princess did it for me. Gu Jiao praised. You did it well. Little Jing Kong said, Jiao Jiao. Gu Jiao said, That. Little Jing Kong lowered his head and played with his fingers. Do you still have that delicious drink? After he gave the 2 bottles he had picked up to Princess Xinyang, he regretted it. If he had known, he would have kept 1 bottle. Gu Jiao tidied up the small medicine box. What's the delicious drink? Little Jing Kong began to look into the small medicine box. It's blue. It's sweet and sour. Gu Jiao understood. Calcium supplement oral liquid? There's no more. That one only appeared twice, and then it never appeared again. Little Jing Kong was disappointed. He looked at the small medicine box and didn't understand. Why are there only 2 bottles this time? Didn't there used to be a lot of them? It was Gu Jiao's turn to be puzzled. Oral fluids were counted by boxes. There were 10 bottles in a box. Why did he say there were only 2 bottles? Well. Little Jing Kong grabbed his nuts and told Gu Jiao about the blue bottle he found under the bed. Gu Jiao was very sure that there was no oral calcium supplement in the medicine box during this period. But if there was a blue liquid, then it could only be psychedelic 1. Gu Jiao asked Little Jing Kong about the specific day he found it. Little Jing Kong said it was the day he sent the baby away. Gu Jiao paused. Did you send him to Princess Xinyang, or back to his parents? Little Jing Kong said, his parents. His parents came to look for the baby. That was the day psychedelic 1 appeared. Did she accidentally drop 2 bottles on the ground when she put the medicine back? Gu Jiao closed the medicine box. Where did you put the medicine? He definitely didn't drink it. Otherwise Little Jing Kong wouldn't be standing there in one piece. Little Jing Kong said. The princess was very sad that day. I wanted to comfort her, so I gave it to her. Gu Jiao felt like she was shot in the heart by an arrow. Wait, Princess Xinyang probably didn't drink it. Otherwise she would have been in trouble. Little Jing Kong swallowed his saliva. Jiao Jiao, do you have more? I want to drink it. Gu Jiao rubbed his little head. No. If I have more in the future, I'll keep it for you. Okay. Little Jing Kong was an obedient child. Since Gu Jiao said there wasn't any for now, he could wait until later. By the way, where's the princess? She left. Gu Jiao looked at the medicine box on the table, which was becoming more and more naughty. She resisted the urge to punch it and said to Little Jing Kong, I'm going out for a while. I'll be back soon. Little Jing Kong responded cutely, Okay Jiao Jiao. Although several days had passed and nothing happened, the medicine was a time bomb. If she didn't know about it, she would take it back immediately. Gu Jiao didn't even sit in the carriage. She rode directly to Zhuke Avenue. Yujin was watering the flowers in the front yard. When she saw Gu Jiao get off the horse at the door, her eyes lit up. Jiao Jiao, you're here? Aunt Yujin. Gu Jiao handed the reins to the maid at the door and walked into the yard. Is the princess here? The princess went to the cloth store. Yujin wanted to go with her, but she fell when she entered the door. Princess Xinyang told her to rest at home. Gu Jiao asked, Aunt Yujin, do you know that the princess brought back 2 bottles of blue medicine? Yujin looked at Gu Jiao strangely. Yes, I know. What's wrong? Gu Jiao paused. She didn't say that it was an aphrodisiac. She only said, there's something wrong with the medicine. Can you give it to me first? The princess gave it to me. Yujin said with a complicated expression. But I gave it to the Marquis. Gu Jiao opened her mouth. Marquis Xianping? Yujin said worriedly. Yes, the princess said that the 2 bottles of medicine were for leg cramps. I didn't want to drink it, so I kept it. Last time I went to Pushui Alley and heard the Marquis complaining about leg cramps, so I gave it to him today. Did I make a mistake? Gu Jiao calmed down. It's okay. It was better for Marquis Xianping to drink it than for the princess to drink it. Although the medicine was powerful, Marquis Xianping's willpower was also very strong. Moreover, his whole body was in plaster. He couldn't do anything. She couldn't let people carry him to the brothel to find girls. Gu Jiao smiled awkwardly. I'll go back and take a look. Yujin was stunned. Okay. It was an emergency. Yujin didn't have time to ask Gu Jiao what was wrong with the medicine. Gu Jiao rushed back to Puishui Alley. The first thing she did was to find Marquis Xianping, who was sunbathing in the backyard. Gu Jiao walked over and asked breathlessly, Marquis, did you drink the medicine Yujin gave you? Marquis Xianping glanced at her and said, I didn't drink it. Gu Jiao secretly sighed in relief. She reached out her hand. Then give it to me. Marquis Xianping said lightly, no. Gu Jiao was slightly stunned. What do you mean? Marquis Xianping's eyes glanced down the corridor. Yes, she drank it. Gu Jiao turned around and saw Princess Xinyang coming out of the room. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_896428266/1081333275. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 614. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao's mind was filled with one sentence. It's over, it's completely over. Gu Jiao gritted out a few words from between her teeth. How could Princess Xinyang drink the medicine? Didn't Yujin give it to you? Wasn't it because someone had a cheap mouth, showing off and angering Princess Xinyang? In a fit of anger, Princess Xinyang didn't give him any medicine to stop the pain, and directly drank it herself. Princess Xinyang didn't know what happened. She saw Gu Jiao in the courtyard and walked towards Gu Jiao. She didn't even look at Marquis Xianping beside Gu Jiao. Where did you go just now? I couldn't find you. I should be the one asking you that. Where did you go just now? Didn't you say you went to the cloth shop? Why are you here? As if seeing Gu Jiao's confusion, Princess Xinyang said, When I returned to Vermilion Bird Avenue, I remembered that I had finished making your clothes, so I went to the cloth shop to get them. Your clothes are in your room. Hurry and try them on. If they don't fit, I'll change them. Princess Xinyang had made clothes for all the children in her family, including Huang Fuxian. She came to the old chancellor's place to try on clothes for Huang Fuxian. However, she didn't expect to have a little conflict with Marquis Xianping. Forget it. It would be strange if this man ever made her happy. Why are you looking at me like that? Princess Xinyang sensed Gu Jiao's indescribable gaze. Would you believe me if I said you took the wrong medicine? I think you're beautiful, okay? Marquis Xianping said carelessly. Princess Xinyang glared at him and said to Gu Jiao, What are you standing there for? Hurry and come over. Oh. Gu Jiao silently followed. The two arrived at Gu Jiao's room. Princess Xinyang took out the dress that was folded on the bed. After unfolding it, she first compared it to Gu Jiao's body. It looks quite suitable. Originally, it was made according to your measurements. I was just afraid that some of the embroiderer's needlework wasn't good enough. Princess Xinyang had bought enough clothes for Gu Jiao, but a rich mother-in-law would never complain about more clothes for her daughter-in-law. At this moment, Gu Jiao was not in the mood to think about whether or not the clothes fit. She had been secretly observing Princess Xinyang's complexion and breathing. Princess, she said. What's wrong? Raise your arms, said Princess Xinyang. Gu Jiao raised her arm, and Princess Xinyang unfolded her sleeve and gestured. Gu Jiao allowed her to compare the clothes and said calmly, Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Princess Xinyang said, No, why do you ask? Gu Jiao's fingertips moved. It's the one you just ate. Before Gu Jiao could finish speaking, Xiao Heng returned from Hanlin Academy. He came to Gu Jiao's door and saw the two of them. He hurriedly greeted them. Mother Jiao Jiao, you're back. Princess Xinyang glanced at him. Hurry and try on your clothes. There were clothes again. Xiao Heng's mouth twitched. Okay. Sure enough, it was the same as when he was a child. He wished he could wear 30 sets of clothes a month and change every day. He didn't have any objections to wearing new clothes, but he didn't like to try them on. But his mother had spoken, so he couldn't do anything about it. Okay, try it on yourself. Princess Xinyang handed the clothes to Gu Jiao. Where are you going? Asked Gu Jiao. Princess Xinyang sneered. I'm not going. I'm going to ask Lu Quan if the horse I gave him a few days ago is still working. You can't go find Lu Quan. Gu Jiao hurriedly said. It's good, it's good. A fine steed. It's very fast. I've already tried it. How about? Princess, you go sit in the study. Princess Xinyang looked at Gu Jiao strangely. She felt that Gu Jiao's reaction was a bit strange, but she didn't take it to heart. Got it. She went to the study. Gu Jiao put down the clothes and went to Xiao Heng's room. Xiao Heng was unbuckling his belt. Her sudden entrance gave him a fright. Gu Jiao looked at his loose belt and calmly said, Husband, something happened. Xiao Heng tightened his grip on his belt. Why am I not satisfied with your reaction? He cleared his throat and sternly said, You turn around first. Oh. Gu Jiao turned around and muttered, It's like no one has seen it before. What did you say? Nothing. She was determined not to admit that she had seen him naked when she was drunk. Xiao Heng tidied up his clothes and placed the clothes he had changed out of on a shelf at the side. He asked, What happened? That's enough. Gu Jiao turned around and told him about the medicine. Most people's first reaction to this was either, Oh my God, luckily Jing Kong didn't drink it, or Princess Xinyang is too unlucky. How could she drink it? However, Xiao Heng looked at Gu Jiao with a puzzled expression. Why do you have this medicine? Gu Jiao. Would you believe me if I said it was the medicine box that gave it to me? Xiao Heng. It would be strange if I believed you. Xiao Heng looked at Gu Jiao with a complicated expression. She said that he would wait for her to grow up, but in the end, she couldn't help but drug him first? Gu Jiao. Can your focus be any more skewed? Then what do we do now? Xiao Heng asked. They could talk about the drug later. Right now, they had to solve this problem first. Is there an antidote? Princess Xinyang and Marquis Xianping weren't real husband and wife, so they couldn't sleep together. Otherwise, Princess Xinyang would probably kill someone when she woke up. Gu Jiao said regretfully, There is no antidote. Xiao Heng's expression changed slightly. Could it be that we can only? Gu Jiao blinked. The princess really doesn't have a male companion? Xiao Heng. Gu Jiao could ask this question, which meant that she could easily overcome the effects of the medicine. However, Princess Xinyang really didn't have a male companion. She couldn't get close to men at all. The so-called male companion was just a rumor. Gu Jiao sighed. Then we can only give her more water. Then I'll give her some tonics to see if it can speed up her metabolism. That's the only way, Xiao Heng said. I'll go make some herbal tea. The young couple went their separate ways. Gu Jiao went back to the east room and opened the small medicine box to take out the tonics. However, when she opened the door to the study, she found that Princess Xinyang had long disappeared. Husband. Gu Jiao went to the kitchen. Xiao Heng had just put the firewood into the stove. Hearing this, he looked at her with a confused expression. Gu Jiao whispered. The princess disappeared. Xiao Heng's hand trembled, and the firewood fell out of the stove. He stood up quickly. Hurry up and look for her. It would be bad if his mother randomly picked up a man on the street and brought him back. As soon as Xiao Heng left the kitchen, Gu Jiao pulled on his sleeve and pointed to the backyard next door. It seems that there's no need to look. In the backyard, Marquis Xianping was lying in a wheelchair, basking in the sun. He was bored to death, but what could he do? He sighed again and again. Suddenly, a figure with a murderous aura came to his wheelchair. The owner of the figure reached out a hand that was as delicate as jade and slowly grabbed his collar. Marquis Xianping felt his throat tighten. The next second, he was pushed back by a strong force, and even his wheelchair was pushed to the ground. Marquis Xianping couldn't turn his head and could only look at the shadow on the ground. He frowned and said, Qin Fengwan? Qin Fengwan, what are you doing? Princess Xinyang didn't say anything. She just grabbed his collar and dragged him from the ground to his room, as if she was dragging a sack. Marquis Xianping was confused. What's going on? Is Qin Fengwan crazy? Didn't I just say a few words in the afternoon? Does she have to be so angry? But then again, when did Qin Fengwan become so strong? That wasn't the main point. The main point was that it was embarrassing for a man like him to be dragged by a woman like this, okay? Qin Fengwan, let go of me, he said coldly. Not only did Princess Xinyang not let him go, she even dragged him up the steps with a duong, duong duong. Marquis Xianping, who had a big hole in his pants, was speechless. The world's #1 martial marquis, who was decisive in killing, was dragged into the room by the possessed Princess Xinyang without any resistance. Marquis Xianping frowned. Why do I feel that something is wrong? Bang! Princess Xinyang closed the door. Marquis Xianping narrowed his eyes. Is she trying to murder her husband? Princess Xinyang leaned against the door. The room was dimly lit, and her face was shrouded in shadows. Marquis Xianping couldn't see her expression clearly. He only felt that her eyes were especially bright, but also had a strange feeling. Marquis Xianping's eyes moved, and he said mockingly, Qin Fengwan, are you not afraid of men or of me? You actually dare to stay in the same room as me? Don't tell me you're going to kill me. Let me tell you, even if I'm paralyzed to the point that I only have one finger left, you're still not my match. As soon as he finished speaking, Princess Xinyang grabbed him with both hands and threw him onto the bed. Marquis Xianping, who was dumbfounded by the throw, was speechless. Marquis Xianping curled his right lips wickedly. Qin Fengwan, did you take the wrong medicine again? Marquis Xianping closed his eyes and said faintly, Qin Fengwan, I'm injured and can't do it. Marquis Xianping exploded. Qin Fengwan, you beast, the latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428226/1081324442. HTML Genius will remember this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikagu mobile reading website. Chapter 6:15. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. In the rear courtyard, Gu Jiao and Xiao Heng, who had witnessed the entire process of Marquis Xianping being dragged into the sack, were speechless. Xiao Heng found a bit of his voice after a while. My mother, is she that powerful? Of course, Princess Xinyang wasn't that powerful, but wasn't she drugged? I'm guessing it's the effect of the drug, Gu Jiao whispered. In her previous life, the organization had a special drug training program. She had tried all kinds of drugs and succeeded in overcoming them. Psychedelic one was the only drug she had never tried. It was said that because the drug was too powerful, it was one of the 3 forbidden drugs in the organization. Xiao Heng broke out in a cold sweat. Then this. He didn't finish his sentence, but Gu Jiao understood. Gu Jiao said, 1 drop is effective. Xiao Heng broke out in a cold sweat again. Then how much did my mother drink? Gu Jiao silently extended a finger. 2 bottles. Xiao Heng heard the sound of the sky collapsing. He asked in a daze. Then should I worry about my mother or my father? Tonight was destined to be a restless night. In the evening, the color of the sky suddenly changed. Thunder and lightning intersected, strong winds blew, and torrential rain poured down all night. Princess Xinyang woke up with a wave of soreness. Her head hurt, her legs hurt, and her entire body hurt. She didn't come back to her senses for a moment. She still thought she was in the house on Vermilion Bird Avenue. She called out in a daze, Yujin. As soon as she opened her mouth, she felt a burning pain in her throat. Her voice was also unbelievably hoarse. Eugen. She called out again. This time, she was sure it wasn't an illusion. She really was tired and mute. Am I sick? She slowly raised her sore arm and gasped in pain. She wanted to rub her forehead. But she touched something not quite right. She opened her eyes wide to take a look. Beneath him was. Her expression changed and she rolled down from the body that was too horrible to look at. She grabbed the blanket and covered herself with it. Instinctively, she kicked the other party twice. Ugh! Xian Pinghe was awakened by the kick, and a magnetic murmur came from his throat. The man's voice was a little hoarse, but it was different from a woman's hoarse voice. It had a mature charm. Princess Xinyang wished she could go deaf. She didn't fall on the outside of the bed. Instead, she fell on the inside of the bed. The bed wasn't big. Of course, it could also be because he was too tall. Once he laid down, he occupied the entire bed. If she wanted to get off the bed, she would have to climb over him. He didn't even have a complete set of clothes on him. Princess Xinyang took one look and felt suffocated. She hurriedly covered her eyes with a blanket. At this moment, she wished she could go blind. She was calm and collected in everything, but it was very difficult for her to get along with men. Xian Pinghe was a man after all, and a thick-skinned one at that. After a short moment of dizziness, he woke up. He looked at Princess Xinyang, who was tightly covering herself with the blanket, and his eyes narrowed dangerously. Qin Fengwan, what tricks are you playing now? Why you move aside? Princess Xinyang sat on the corner of the bed and covered her head with the blanket. Xian Pinghe looked at her with a dark expression. Qin Fengwan, what kind of disdainful tone is that? Do you want me to remind you of what you did to me yesterday? No, yesterday plus last night? Princess Xinyang's mind started to have an image. Her body gradually froze. Her blanket only covered half of her body, mainly her head. Her legs were still exposed. Xian Pinghe looked at her and sneered. You remember now? Qin Fengwan, I haven't seen you for many years. Your methods have improved. You purposely had Eugen drug me. When I didn't take it, you snatched it and ate it. You still say you don't have ulterior motives toward me. The two of them weren't fools. It wouldn't be right if they still couldn't tell that there was something wrong with the 2 bottles of medicine. But Princess Xinyang didn't do it on purpose. That medicine was clearly given to her by little Jing Kong to treat leg cramps. How could it have this kind of effect? If she said she didn't know and was innocent now, this man probably wouldn't believe her. After all, she didn't do anything usually, but he already thought she had ulterior motives toward him. Now that she really did something, she wouldn't be able to clear her name even if she jumped into the Yellow River. Xian Pinghe had an as expected expression. Can't say anything? I knew you did it on purpose. Just how many wrong medicines did you take? This marquis almost lost half of his life. Princess Xinyang's face flushed red. Can't a man like you save some face for yourself? Princess Xinyang gave up on arguing with him about the medicine. She couldn't be led by the nose by him. She had to take back the initiative. She composed herself and tried to calm down. Why, you know I took the wrong medicine, so why didn't you push me away? Xian Pinghe sneered. Qin Fengwan, do you want to see what you did to me? Princess Xinyang slowly pulled down the quilt covering her head, revealing a pair of red and swollen almond-shaped eyes from crying. She looked at Xian Pinghe's upper body nervously. In the end, she saw that Xian Pinghe's hands were tied to the head of the bed. Princess Xinyang. Disbelief and panic flashed across her eyes. Xian Pinghe took in her expression. He shook the rope in his hands and smiled mockingly. I couldn't tell, Qin Fengwan, that you have this kind of fetish. Princess Xinyang wished she could find a hole to hide in. What kind of fetish was she into? I was afraid he would run away, but that wasn't her. She took the wrong medicine and lost all rationality. She didn't know what she was doing. But don't you have? Princess Xinyang only wanted to change the topic. She quickly used any excuse she could think of. But halfway through her question, she saw the plaster pieces all over the ground and the hammer lying on top of them. Very well, the possibility of him using his internal energy to shake off the plaster and sleep with her also died. Princess Xinyang blushed and glanced at him from the corner of her eyes. Why, if you don't do that, I can't. Xian Pingho frowned. Qin Fengwan, I'm not a eunuch. This sentence directly hammered this path to death. The princess of Xinyang bit her lip tightly. She still didn't give up and still felt that this matter definitely wasn't her fault alone. Suddenly, some images flashed through her mind. She sat up straight and said seriously, okay, even if it was my fault at the beginning, but later, wasn't it all? Yourself, if you have the ability, don't. She really couldn't bring herself to say the word yourself. Xian Pingho was so angry that he laughed and said with a chuckle, isn't that because your skills aren't good enough? And almost, speaking up to this point, he raised his eyebrows and said without changing his expression, sit and break. Princess Xinyang was about to explode. Heavens, someone come and sew his mouth shut. The next evening, Gu Jiao and Xiaoheng were called to Vermilion Bird Avenue by Princess Xinyang. Princess Xinyang had already returned to her room, washed up, and dressed neatly as if nothing had happened. But her aura was very cold. Gu Jiao and Xiaoheng both felt a chill on their necks. Xiaoheng took a step forward without leaving a trace and shielded Gu Jiao behind him, bearing his mother's fury alone. Princess Xinyang was furious. Get out. I have something to say to her. Xiaoheng obviously wouldn't leave Gu Jiao under Princess Xinyang's fury. He said, it has nothing to do with Jiao Jiao. It's me. Princess Xinyang said angrily. Is it you? Get out. She really wanted to settle the score with these two little things, but now wasn't the time. She had more important things to do. Go. Gu Jiao whispered to Xiaoheng, she can't beat me. Princess Xinyang. Xiaoheng made an oh sound and left. Princess Xinyang was even angrier. She didn't know what she was angry about, but after what happened last night, she didn't like anyone. Close the door. Princess Xinyang yelled at the door. Xiaoheng's mouth twitched. Close the door. My mother is so fierce. Princess Xinyang took a deep breath and suppressed her anger. She said slowly, do you have any contraceptive? Gu Jiao was stunned. Contraceptive? Was it that shocking? Didn't she like children? Princess Xinyang liked children, but she didn't have the confidence to be a mother again. Let me see. Gu Jiao put the medicine box on the table, opened it, and began rummaging through it. But where was the contraceptive? It was full of pregnancy pills, oral progesterone tablets, iron folic acid tablets. There was even a very cute picture of a baby printed on the bottle. Gu Jiao looked at the medicine box, speechless. Are you kidding me? Although Princess Xinyang didn't understand the words on the bottle, she could tell the effects from the picture. She gritted her teeth. Gu Jiao blinked innocently. If I said I didn't prepare these, would you believe me? The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1081130093. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 616. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all here. Princess Xinyang would be a fool to believe her. Princess Xinyang didn't want to see these two little troublemakers, so she sent them back. She asked Yujin to find Dr. Song and prescribe a bowl of contraceptive soup. On the other side, Changjing returned. He didn't know that something had happened to Marquis Xianping, so he went back to the Marquis's residence first and learned of Marquis Xuanping's whereabouts from Steward Lu. He used Qinggong to come to Jade Water Alley. Xiaoheng and Gu Jiao's place was full. Marquis Xianping, Huang Fuxian, and the former Zhuang Yuheng were all staying at the old chancellor's place. Changjing immediately found Marquis Xuanping's aura. He jumped in through the window. The scene inside made him instantly pull out his sword. He flashed to the side of the bed and blocked Marquis Xianping behind him, vigilant of the movements around him. Marquis Xianping shook his wrists tied to the head of the bed and said, "No one, come and untie this first." Oh. Chang Jing raised his sword and cut the rope. His sword technique was precise and didn't hurt Marquis Xianping at all. He picked up the broken rope and looked at it, saying strangely, "It's just a normal rope. Why can't you even break this?" Marquis Xianping raised his eyebrows and sighed. "You don't understand." His body was hollowed out. Chang Jing frowned. His gaze swept across the mess on the floor and landed on Marquis Xianping's body full of scars. "You were beaten up? Who did it? I'll go kill him." This was too miserable. Chang Jing had followed Marquis Xianping for so long, but he had never seen him so badly injured. Marquis Xianping glanced at Chang Jing. Thinking that Chang Jing was still young, he waved his hand. "Forget it, it's fine, no need to investigate." "Right, didn't you chase after Nangongli? Where is he?" Chang Jing's face darkened. "I didn't catch him, he ran away." Marquis Xianping looked at him in surprise. "There's someone you can't catch?" It wasn't that Chang Jing's martial arts were invincible, but that Nangongli was obviously not Chang Jing's opponent. Furthermore, he had a broken arm. How could he run away with such injuries? Someone saved him. Chang Jing hesitated for a moment, but still decided to tell the truth. "It's a guardian of the Dark Knight sect." Marquis Xianping frowned. "Is it the Dark Knight sect that you were in before?" "Yes." Chang Jing nodded. Marquis Xianping said, "Since he's a guardian, it's normal that you can't beat him." "I could beat him, but I didn't hit him," Chang Jing muttered in her heart. Xianping Ho did not know much about the Dark Knight Society. He had only heard that it was the most powerful and mysterious assassin organization in the Six Nations. When he met Chang Jing, she was being chased by people from the Dark Knight Society. She accidentally got into his carriage and fell asleep in it. Marquis Xianping thought that he had offended the Dark Knight Society and was being chased by them. Chang Jing said that he was a member of the Dark Knight Society, but he did not want to return to the Dark Knight Society. He saw that Chang Jing had some skills, so he suggested that Chang Jing follow him. However, Chang Jing did not agree at first. He also found that Chang Jing liked to play marbles, so he practiced hard for many days and finally won Chang Jing back. Until now, Marquis Xianping still thought that Chang Jing was just a small traitor of the Dark Knight Society. How would he know that the person he kidnapped was actually the young master of the Dark Knight Society? But he won't live for long. "I cut him several times," Chang Jing said. It was as if she wanted to get back at him for being unable to beat the guardian of the Dark Knight Society. "Okay." Marquis Xianping smiled and looked at her. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Chang Jing shook her head. Marquis Xianping nodded. "If you're fine, then do something for me." Chang Jing's handsome face darkened. Was it too late to pretend to do something now? After several months of review and debate, the imperial edict regarding the rewards for meritorious service was finally drawn up. During the battle at the frontier fortress, the world's Grand Marshal, Tang Yushan, had meritorious service. He was conferred the title of Count Tang In, and rewarded with 1,000 taels of silver. Marquis Ding An's heir Gu Changqing was equipped with armor and took the lead. He led the Gu army to exterminate the remnants of the previous dynasty and defeated the Chen army. He was conferred the title of Major Third-Rank Northern General and rewarded with 1,000 taels of silver. In addition, Marquis Ding An's second son, Gu Qingfeng, had meritorious service. He was conferred the title of Major Sixth-Rank Cavalry Captain and rewarded with 800 taels of silver. In addition, there were several generals who had outstanding performances in the battle that were also rewarded. Medical Officer Tong and Dr. Song had helped to pacify the plague. They were conferred the title of Zhao country's famous doctor and rewarded with 500 taels of silver. The rest of the accompanying doctors also received their own rewards. Gu Jiao was naturally no exception. Not only was she the main contributor to pacifying the plague, she was also an important general who defended ancient Moon City. Not to mention, she had single-handedly exterminated 5,000 soldiers of the previous dynasty. The emperor conferred her the title of Hugua Junju. Marquis Xianping and Princess Xianyang were also meritorious officials who defended Zhao country. The emperor's intention was to either confer Marquis Xian Pingwang or promote Princess Xian Yang to Ding country's Princess Royal. But they could not have both. The specifics depended on the husband and wife's choice. In addition, Grand Secretary Yuan submitted a memorial to the emperor, requesting that a junior advisor be appointed to the cabinet. Oh, in the imperial study, the emperor looked at Grand Secretary Yuan in shock. Beloved Minister Yuan has been in the cabinet for so many years, and has never had the thought of appointing a junior advisor. Why are you suddenly having this idea now? Grand Secretary Yuan cupped his hands and said, "This old official is old and cannot do many things. In addition, Grand Tutor Zhuang's matter has deeply affected the cabinet. The cabinet is in turmoil, and its power and prestige have been greatly weakened. This old official hopes that someone can revive the cabinet and better serve your majesty and Zhao country's court." These words could be considered to have touched the bottom of the emperor's heart. That old man, Grand Tutor Zhuang, had brought disaster to half of the cabinet. The two secondary assistants were his people. Although they hadn't done anything bad that would cause the cabinet to fall into the hands of these two people, the emperor was not at ease handing the cabinet over to them. The emperor said, "Beloved Minister Yuan's choice of junior advisor is..." Grand Secretary Yuan smiled. "Hanlin Academy's attendant, Ministry of Justice's secretary. Xiao Lulang. Most importantly, he is Xiao Heng. How can we restore this identity for him? He can't keep Xiao Liulang's identity for his entire life." The emperor muttered to himself for a moment. "Allow us to think about it first." "Yes." Grand Secretary Yuan complied. This matter was of great importance. Careful consideration was correct. "That's right." Just as Grand Secretary Yuan was about to withdraw, the emperor called out to him. "We heard that the Yuan family is going to form a marriage alliance with the Marquis Ding and Fu. Is there such a thing?" Grand Secretary Yuan said, "There is indeed such a thing. Gu Chongqing and this old official's granddaughter, Yuan Baolin." The emperor was surprised, but after thinking about it, he felt it was appropriate. Chongqing and Baolin are a match made in heaven. Mentioning this, Grand Secretary Yuan smiled helplessly. In reality, it was the two children themselves who agreed. The misunderstanding that Yuan Baolin was not pregnant had long been resolved. To be honest, Grand Secretary Yuan felt that there was no chance for the two of them. They didn't have much passion for each other. He thought that if one of them was unwilling, Grand Secretary Yuan didn't plan on forcing the two to marry. Who would have thought that the two of them would suddenly agree one day? It was as if they had discussed it beforehand. This made it difficult for Grand Secretary Yuan to refuse. The auspicious date for the Board of Astronomy had been calculated. It was the 9th of the 3rd month. Marquis Gu received news that Empress Dowager Zhuang would personally come to inspect the Fu. He got up before the sun rose and tidied himself up. Neatly dressed, he waited at the entrance of the new Fu. He was very excited, because he was going to see Empress Dowager Zhuang. It had to be known that with his official position, he didn't even attend court much less see the Empress Dowager who had the power to overturn the court. How could he know that not only had he seen her, he had also mocked and ridiculed her? The second reason for his excitement was that he was finally going to see the mysterious owner of this Fu. This Fu was built according to the specifications of a Princess Fu. At first, he thought it was built for Zhuang Yueshi. Later, he thought it was built for Princess Ning and who had returned from the frontier fortress. But the Zhuang family had been exiled. Princess Ningen was fake. So who was the owner of this Fu? It couldn't be that little remnant Huang Fuxian, right? No, there was no news of Huang Fuxian returning to the capital in the early stages of construction. Who is it? Marquis Gu was so curious that his heart felt like it was being scratched by a cat. Marquis. Huang Zhong rushed over. The Empress Dowager's guards of honor are here. Prepare to welcome the Empress Dowager. Marquis Gu adjusted the black gauze hat on his head and flicked his wide sleeves. Together with the officials and the attendants present, he bowed respectfully. The Empress Dowager's guards of honor majestically stopped in front of the magnificent Fu. Marquis Gu loudly said, "Welcome, Empress Dowager. Long live the Empress Dowager." Everyone followed suit and bowed. "Welcome, Empress Dowager. Long live the Empress Dowager. Eunuch Qin got off the carriage first and lifted the curtain for Empress Dowager Zhuang. Empress Dowager Zhuang got off the carriage with a young girl in green. Marquis Gu's gaze fell on the young girl's green dress and white embroidered shoes. He thought to himself, is this the owner of the Fu? Sure enough, her bearing is extraordinary. When she walks, she is more heroic and noble than ordinary women. Come and see your Fu, Empress Dowager Zhuang said. Okay. The young girl responded. Marquis Gu frowned. Why does this voice sound a little familiar? Marquis Gu bravely raised his head and glanced at the young girl. He was so shocked that he froze on the spot. Why is it this stinky girl? He looked at the Empress Dowager again. The next second he knelt down with a plop. It wasn't because of fear, but because of shock. Isn't this the old lady of that girl's family? He had seen her in the countryside. At that time, he felt that she looked familiar. But he and the Empress Dowager had only seen each other a few times, so he didn't dare to recognize her. No one would be able to admit it. How could the Empress Dowager be a foodie old lady from the countryside? Did he say anything disrespectful to the old lady? No, the Empress Dowager? Oh no, I'm too nervous. I can't remember at all. Marquis Gu felt like dying. What on earth did this lass do? Why did she hide the Empress Dowager in her own house? Why didn't she tell him? Would it kill her to tell him? She only knows how to cheat him every day. Marquis Gu clutched his chest. He felt that he was going to have a heart attack. This girl is here to jinx me, she is here to take my life. Marquis Gu felt that he was most likely going to die. He gritted his teeth and closed his eyes. Unexpectedly, Empress Dowager Zhuang didn't even look at him, and directly brought Gu Jiao into the Fu. Marquis Gu was speechless. Do you like it? In the pavilion, Empress Dowager Zhuang asked Gu Jiao. I like it, Gu Jiao said seriously. She really liked it. There was a house that was built according to Clear Water Alley. There was also a courtyard that was built step by step according to the medical center. In addition, there were pavilions, waterside corridors, a library, a practice room, and a meadow for riding and archery. Empress Dowager Zhuang said, Clear Water Alley is almost full. Find a day to move in. Gu Jiao opened her mouth. Empress Dowager Zhuang took in her expression and asked, What's wrong? You can't bear to leave? Gu Jiao clutched her chest. This was her reluctance? When she first left the village, Gu Jiao didn't feel this way. She seemed to be able to feel the complex emotions that she couldn't before. Empress Dowager Zhuang handed the deed to her. Don't worry. You can move when you want. Okay. Gu Jiao agreed. The two wandered around the Fu and then took the carriage back. In the carriage, Gu Jiao's heart suddenly twitched. She clutched her chest and frowned. Empress Dowager Zhuang noticed her strangeness and asked worriedly, What's wrong? Gu Jiao pointed to her chest. It hurts. Empress Dowager Zhuang asked strangely, You don't have a heart disease. Why does it hurt? Gu Jiao pondered for a moment, and her eyes narrowed. It's not me. It's Ayan. Gu Yan's heart disease acted up. It acted up without warning. The teacher was teaching when the students suddenly shouted. The teacher looked up and saw Gu Yan fall to the ground. Gu Xiaoshan immediately rushed up and took out the medicine in the teacher's purse to feed him. Gu Yan's heart disease hadn't acted up seriously for half a year. Occasionally he would feel uncomfortable, but taking a pill would immediately help. But this time, it didn't seem to work. Gu Jiao quickly ran back to Clearwater Alley. Yao Shi had already fainted from crying. Gu Xiaoshan ran out of the central room. Sister, you're back. Gu Yan he. Gu Jiao stared and asked, Where is he? Gu Xiaoshan quickly said, In your room. Gu Jiao entered the eastern room. Gu Yan's condition was very bad. His heart stopped again. Everything seemed to have returned to the first time they met at the hot spring villa. He was also like this and might not be saved at any time. Gu Jiao took out the epinephrine and saline from the small medicine box. 1 needle, 2 needles, 3 needles. After 4 injections, Gu Yan's heart finally started to beat again. He slowly opened his eyes and saw Gu Jiao. His empty and dim eyes suddenly seemed to light up. Sister. He had been led astray by little Jing Kong to Jiao Jiao. Only when he was weak to a certain extent would he have this behavior. Gu Jiao took off her gloves and touched his forehead. I'm here. Hug me, he said. Gu Jiao gently held him in her arms. Gu Yan breathed in her scent and closed his eyes in peace. He said weakly, I'm not afraid when you're here. I'm leaving. When I leave, you'll accompany me. I want you to send me off. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/10811233. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 617. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet here. Gu Jiao's heart was aching. She couldn't tell whether it was her own feeling or Gu Yan's pain. She was a person who lacked emotional perception. Many of her experiences of this world came from Gu Yan. If she and Gu Yan were compared to a tree, then her branch had already turned into iron. It was Gu Yan who passed on his feelings to her, making her deeply feel that she was still alive and living under the sun with Gu Yan. This analogy might not be appropriate, but she knew that she and Gu Yan were inseparable. They had the deepest bond in the world. Gu Jiao hugged Gu Yan tightly and covered his burning forehead with one hand. You won't go. I want you to stay. Gu Yan fell asleep in Gu Jiao's arms. Unlike the time when he was rescued in the hot spring villa, his situation this time was really bad to a certain extent. Gu Yan had to be operated on. However, this was not an ordinary surgery. It could be done by anesthesia, cutting open the wound, resolving the focus of the disease and suturing. Gu Yan's operation required extracorporeal circulation. She didn't have the equipment for extracorporeal circulation, nor did she have the other drugs and equipment needed for the operation. Although the small medicine box could provide a continuous supply of drugs and medical consumables for the research institute, they were all very small and would not exceed the size of the box. Moreover, according to Gu Yan's current situation, what he needed was not only a set of extracorporeal circulation equipment, but also a complete operating room. Gu Jiao looked down at Gu Yan, who was sleeping soundly in her arms. He was too weak. Even the small tuft of hair on the top of his head couldn't stand up. It drooped there listlessly. Gu Jiao held Gu Yan's weak hand and said firmly again, You won't go. I won't let you go. I haven't done enough to be your sister. No one can take you away from me, not even Yama. At present, it seemed impossible to operate on Gu Yan. She lacked equipment and an operating room, but she did not want to give up. Gu Jiao hugged Gu Yan for a while. After making sure that Gu Yan would not wake up for the time being, she gently placed Gu Yan back on the bed and covered him with the quilt. She walked out of the east room and said to Gu Xiaoshan, who was anxiously waiting in the central room, Xiaoshan, come here. Sister. Gu Xiaoshan turned around and walked towards Gu Jiao. How is Gu Yan? For the time being, Gu Jiao said. Gu Jiao didn't show much emotion on her face, but Gu Xiaoshan could still feel the coldness that enveloped her. Gu Xiaoshan felt sorry for Gu Jiao. He was a child who didn't even care about his parents. Only his sister was good to him. Sister. Thinking that Gu Jiao would be sad because of Gu Yan, his throat suddenly choked up. Gu Jiao looked at him and asked, I have something to ask you. Hearing that it was a serious matter, Gu Xiaoshan hurriedly wiped his tears and pulled himself together. Sister, go ahead. Gu Jiao asked, Did Gu Yan have any strange behavior before his heart disease broke out? Gu Xiaoshan scratched his head. Strange behavior? Gu Jiao thought for a while and said, For example, who did he come into contact with? What did he eat? Gu Yan had been taking medicine and his heart disease was well controlled. There was still a difference between him and a normal person, but it shouldn't have broken out suddenly. Gu Xiaoshan knew that Gu Yan had a heart disease and would take good care of him in the academy. He would also pay attention to him. He thought carefully. I entered the academy with him. Then we went to class together and studied together. After class, he went to the outhouse. When he came back, he seemed to say that he was a little tired. He usually said that he was tired, but he wasn't really tired. He just didn't want to go to class and wanted to sleep on the table. I thought he would be like that today, but who would have thought? He suddenly collapsed while lying on the table. Gu Jiao frowned. Gu Xiaoshan thought of something and suddenly said, I remember now. Gu Yan came back from the outhouse and said, It's bad luck to meet someone who doesn't have eyes. I asked him what happened and he said it was nothing. Then he patted his clothes and seemed to have fallen. But I saw that he was fine, so I didn't ask any more questions. Someone who doesn't have eyes? Gu Jiao called Shadow Guard A and Shadow Guard B. Did you follow Gu Yan today? Did you know that he fell in the outhouse? The two of them shook their heads. They did follow Gu Yan, but they wouldn't follow him to the outhouse. Shadow Guard A said, We were guarding the courtyard outside the outhouse. If someone wanted to deal with Little Master, we could feel the murderous aura. Gu Jiao said thoughtfully. In other words, Gu Yan was accidentally knocked down by someone? That person didn't have the intention to hurt or kill Gu Yan. But why would he fall ill after being knocked down? His body shouldn't be so weak. Gu Jiao felt that something was wrong. She went back to the room, took away the quilt, and uncovered Gu Yan's clothes. When she was saving Gu Yan, it wasn't obvious. Now that the bruises were exposed, Gu Jiao saw that there was a palm print on Gu Yan's chest. He was hit by someone. We didn't feel any murderous aura. Shadow Guard A looked at the palm print on Gu Yan's body in surprise. Shadow Guard B nodded. To be honest, Gu Yan was like a little tyrant in the academy. Even Gu Qinglin didn't dare to provoke him. If Gu Yan shouted, the two of them would immediately appear. If Gu Yan couldn't shout, then it must be an expert. But if an expert fought, the murderous aura would be too strong. It wouldn't escape their senses. Then there was only one possibility. This person really didn't come to kill Gu Yan. He just accidentally bumped into Gu Yan and conveniently hit Gu Yan. Sister, Mistress Nan is here. Outside the East Room, Gu Xiaoshan interrupted Gu Jiao's thoughts. Today was the day that Gu Xiaoshan and Gu Yan went to Master Lu's house to learn. Usually if they didn't go, the shadow guards would inform them. But today no one came. Mistress Nan was worried that something might have happened to someone, so she rushed to Jade Water Alley to take a look. Master Lu also came. Master Lu, Mistress Nan. Gu Jiao went to the central room to greet the two. Mistress Nan sensed the unusual atmosphere when she entered the courtyard. She glanced at Gu Xiaoshan, who was secretly wiping his tears, and asked Gu Jiao, Did something happen? Why did little Shun, this child, cry? Where's Yin? Something happened. His heart disease acted up. Is it serious? A little. Let me see. Gu Jiao led Mistress Nan and Master Lu into the East Room. They knew that Gu Yan had a heart disease, but after being together for so long, Gu Yan had almost never acted up. They were already about to treat Gu Yan as a normal child. Now, Gu Yan's face was pale, and his breath was weak as he laid on the bed. He looked like he could die at any moment. The two of them were heartbroken. Master Lu was shocked. How did it suddenly become like this? He was still fine yesterday. He was hit by a palm, Gu Jiao said. Who? Mistress Nan's eyes were filled with killing intent. Gu Jiao shook her head and came to the bed. I don't know. No one saw who it was. They only left a palm print. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know that he was hit. Palm print? Mistress Nan quickly walked over and untied Gu Yan's clothes. Her eyes darkened when she saw it. 9 Clouds palm? What's 9 Clouds palm? Gu Jiao asked. Mistress Nan said in a low voice. It's the unique skill of Yin country's Nangong family. The power of this palm technique is that it's fine when you're hit, but afterwards, your tendons and veins will gradually break. He controlled his strength and didn't intend to kill him. He just wanted to vent his anger and teach Yin a lesson. Gu Jiao frowned. Nangong family? Could it be Nangong Li? Nangong Li's arm was broken by Changjing. He had been hiding all this time. Could it be that he snuck into Qinghe Academy today? Nangong Li didn't know Gu Yan. He must have accidentally bumped into Gu Yan and felt that Gu Yan was blocking the way. So he hit Gu Yan in anger. He seemed to have done it unintentionally, but in reality, it was a heinous crime. Gu Yan didn't provoke him. He just accidentally bumped into, and it wasn't clear who bumped into who, but he could vent his anger on a weak scholar. Was he still human? Gu Jiao's eyes turned cold. Nangong Li, it better not be you. Otherwise, Madame Nan was also furious. Gu Yan was just an innocent child. Which beast of the Nangong family dared to hit him? Why would the Nangong family come to Zhao country? Master Lu whispered to Madame Nan. How would I know? Madame Nan said angrily. Master Lu choked and didn't say anything. He understood that Nan Xiang wasn't targeting him. Nan Xiang was just too angry. To be honest, he was also angry. No matter who in the Nangong family did it, this kind of behavior was more hateful than revenge with a purpose. This was simply disregard for human life. It was inhumane. Madame Nan looked at the weak Gu Yan and closed her eyes worriedly. She could detoxify the poison, but she couldn't cure it. Jiao Jiao, can you cure Yan'er? She looked at Gu Jiao expectantly. In fact, she also understood that this hope was very slim. If it could be cured, Gu Jiao wouldn't have this expression. Let me think about it first. Gu Jiao went to the study room. Madame Nan didn't dare to leave. She stayed in the east room to watch over Gu Yan. When night fell, the family members came back to Bai Shui Alley one after another. Soon after, everyone knew that Gu Yan's condition had worsened. Madame Yao cried her heart out. Even Gu Xiaobao, who never cried or made a fuss, pursed his lips in grievance. His large eyes were brimming with tears. Empress Dowager Zhuang rushed over from the palace. She only had one request for Gu Yan. It was good that he was alive. But now this request seemed to have become an extravagant hope. She sat at Gu Yan's bedside and suddenly looked much older. Huang Fuxian and little Jing Kong also came to the east room. Huang Fuxian had just moved into Bai Shui Alley. He thought that he was just an outsider. But seeing Gu Yan unconscious, he felt very sad. Little Jing Kong, who was always talkative, stopped talking this time. He stood in front of the bed and looked at Gu Yan with wide eyes. When Gu Yan was bullied by Tang Ming, he also flared up fiercely. But the atmosphere at that time was not as serious as it was now. It was as if everyone felt that Gu Yan was really doomed. The old chancellor didn't dare to say anything. He silently went to the kitchen to cook. As he added firewood to the stove, he silently shed tears. Old master, what's wrong? Yu asked with concern. The old chancellor used his sleeve to wipe his eyes and said, the smoke is too big. Xiao Heng was the last to reach home. Lu Quan had already told him about Gu Yan's situation on the way to pick him up. He immediately put down his work and rushed back. The whole family felt sorry for Gu Yan. But he knew that the one who was suffering the most right now was Gu Jiao. She was his sister and also a doctor. She wouldn't allow herself to be unable to cure Gu Yan. Xiao Heng found Gu Jiao in the study room. Gu Jiao was holding a charcoal pencil and writing something on a piece of white paper. Jiao Jiao. Xiao Heng stepped into the room. Gu Jiao stopped writing and raised her eyes to look at him. There was a grievance in her voice that she had never revealed to others. Husband. Xiao Heng's heart twitched fiercely. He walked around the desk and came to her side. He leaned over and looked at her steadily. It's okay. Yan will be fine. Gu Jiao's expression was calm. She picked up the paper on the table and handed it to him. These are the equipment and medicine that I listed. The ones that are circled with cinnabar are the ones that I already have. I haven't gotten the rest yet. Xiao Heng took the paper and looked at it. It was full of paper, but the cinnabar circled less than 1/10 of it. She was very strong. So strong that it made people's heart ache. Xiao Heng stroked the top of her head to comfort her. With these things, can Yan be saved? If you have all of them, I can operate on him. I can complete the operation alone. She emphasized. Xiao Heng looked at the strange names on the paper. What are these? Gu Jiao said firmly. These are the equipment needed for the operation. I can't take them out with my medicine box. This Did you draw this picture? Xiaoheng looked at the picture on the back of the paper. Gu Jiao nodded. Xiaoheng pondered for a moment and suddenly said, "Wait a minute." Gu Jiao looked at him strangely. He turned around and went to the bookshelf. He took down a box and took out a yellow drawing from it. "Take a look and see if this is it." Gu Jiao took it and looked at it. Her expression froze. Wasn't this the drawing of the operating room? Where did it come from? Gu Jiao asked. Xiaoheng said, "It's from the Yan Kingdom's mathematics book in Jing Kong. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't seem good to throw it away, so I took it out and put it aside." The Yan Kingdom's operating room? Or was the Yan Kingdom planning to build an operating room? The mathematics book and the drawing of the operating room basically confirmed that there was a transmigrator in the Yan Kingdom. Gu Jiao held the drawing in her hand, and a glimmer of hope suddenly rose in her heart. The Yan Kingdom has what I need. Xiaoheng's eyes darkened. The Yan Kingdom was a place he should never set foot in. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964226/1080929190. HTML Genius memorized the website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 618. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found online. Coming out of the study, Xiaoheng went to Marquis Xianping's room next door. Although Marquis Xianping didn't need a new cast, he still had to sit in a wheelchair. He already knew about Gu Yan's situation. Although he didn't know about the operating room, he knew that if even Gu Jiao was helpless, then the only hope in the world to cure Gu Yan was in the Yan Kingdom. Don't even think about it. I don't know. I don't have it. I won't give it to you even if I have it. Without waiting for Xiaoheng to explain why he came, Marquis Xianping directly refused 3 times. Xiaoheng frowned and looked at him. Do you know what I'm going to say? Marquis Xianping leaned back in his chair and looked at him lightly. He raised his eyebrows. Who was the female slave in the Yan Kingdom who gave birth to you? Did she leave any keepsakes? If so, can I give it to you? Xiaoheng felt a blow to his soul. He was indeed his biological father. His thoughts were well thought out. Why? Do you want to go to the Yan Kingdom? Marquis Xianping pretended to be indifferent. Do you know that someone in the Yan Kingdom wants to kill you? Of course Xiaoheng knew. But this was not a reason for him to retreat. He said, only the Yan Kingdom has what Jiao Jiao needs. With those things, Gu Yan can be cured. It turned out that the girl could be cured, but she lacked the necessary items. Your wife is quite capable, Marquis Xianping said with pride. That year, Xiaoheng seemed to not know how to address her. He deliberated for a moment and asked, that person really didn't leave anything behind? No. In order to cut off the connection with you, she even cleaned up a strand of her hair. Marquis Xianping said and realized that his words might be ambiguous. He added, it's not what you think. She was afraid of being a burden to you. It's not that she didn't want you. Xiaoheng was silent. He didn't doubt that woman's feelings for him. Otherwise, she wouldn't have rather killed Xiaoqing and left the antidote to him. He had Ye's curiosity. What kind of woman was she? How could she kill a newborn baby? Would she be the same as the Nangong clan member who hurt Gu Yan? Would she be an evil person who didn't care about human lives? But even if she was, he had no right to criticize her. She had sacrificed all her evil to save his life. In the end, Xiaoheng failed to find a way to go to the Yan Kingdom. Gu Jiao thought of Gu Chongqing, who said that he would go to the Yan Kingdom to find a doctor for her. Gu Chongqing had been living in the underground dojo for the past few days. Every day he refreshed his ranking. According to his reckless fighting style, he was not far from the top 3. Once they entered the top 3, they would be sent to the Yin Kingdom by the underground martial arts arena for the next stage of the competition. It was called a competition, but in fact, it was a way for the Yin Kingdom to win over martial arts geniuses from other countries. Gu Jiao called Secret Guard A and told him to immediately find Gu Chongqing. Who would have thought that Secret Guard A would be a step too late? Secret Guard A came back and reported to Gu Jiao. The heir has already left. Gu Jiao asked. Where did he go? Secret Guard A said. I heard from the Marquis Fu that the heir went to Jiangnan to find a divine bird as a betrothal gift for the daughter of the Yuan family. In the Zhao country, it was a custom for men to catch wild geese as betrothal gifts for their fiancés. The better the breed of wild geese, the higher the sincerity. The divine bird wasn't a wild geese, but the legendary phoenix. Gu Jiao had seen pictures of phoenixes before. She felt that they looked like the flamingos from her previous life. No one in the Zhao country had seen this kind of bird before. It was only a legend. Gu Chongqing didn't want to get married. He left the capital with great fanfare at this time to find a bird. She was afraid that it was to cover up the fact that he had snuck into the Yin Kingdom. How long has he been gone? Gu Jiao asked. 3 days. Secret Guard A said. Gu Chongqing had already said goodbye to Gu Jiao, so strictly speaking he didn't leave without saying goodbye. But Gu Jiao was still somewhat depressed. It had already been 3 days. She feared that she wouldn't be able to catch up. Xiao Heng was also thinking of a way to go to the Yin Kingdom. Since Marquis Xianping didn't have any clues, he went to the residence of Princess Xinyang. Hearing that Xiao Heng wanted to go to the Yin Kingdom, Princess Xinyang's reaction was the same as Marquis Xianping. But after all, Xiao Heng had grown up. They could only give their opinions, but couldn't make the decision for Xiao Heng. He insisted on going. As his father and mother, they could only think of a way to help him. Princess Xinyang thought of the Yin Kingdom's pharmacist in the underground martial arts field. Yujin, you go and invite the pharmacist. If he doesn't come, let Long Yi catch him. Yujin took Long Yi. However, what made people disappointed was that the Yin Kingdom's pharmacist unexpectedly returned to the Yin Kingdom with Gu Chongqing's group. From this, it could be inferred that the Yin Kingdom's pharmacist should have personally brought Gu Chongqing, this martial arts genius, back to the Yin Kingdom. The young couple took turns to hit a wall. When they returned to the central room, both of them blankly sat on the chair without saying a word. Master's wife Nan came out from the east room. Just now, Gu Jiao had prescribed some medicine for Gu Yan. Master's wife Nan fed him. Master's wife Nan looked at the two people whose complexion was not quite right. She vaguely guessed something and said, "Not too smooth." Master's wife Nan, is there any other way to go to the Yin Kingdom? Is it possible to sneak in? Sneak in? Master's wife Nan was dumbfounded. What is that? It's probably the meaning of sneaking in. Master's wife Nan shook her head without thinking. This won't do. It's too dangerous. It's difficult for you to sneak in alone, not to mention the seriously ill Gu Yan. Don't tell me there's no other way? Master's wife Nan opened her mouth. Master Lu came over in time to hold her hand. He frowned and shook his head at her. Master's wife Nan said, I want to save Yan Er. Gu Jiao and Xiao Heng looked at the two strangely. They did not understand the connection between this sentence and Gu Jiao's previous sentence. Master Lu sighed helplessly and said, but they don't have a travel permit. If you want to take them to the Yin Kingdom, there's only one way. Put the mark of a slave on them. The slaves of the Yin Kingdom were not people. They were only objects. Master's wife Nan, are you from the Yin Kingdom? Gu Jiao asked. She had long known that Master's wife Nan was not simple, but she did not expect her to be so complicated. Master's wife Nan said, I'm not from the Yin Kingdom, but I can go to the Yin Kingdom. Then either she was from the Shang Kingdom, or she came from a powerful force outside the Six Kingdoms. Since Master's wife Nan did not point it out, Gu Jiao and Xiao Heng did not pursue the matter. To put it bluntly, who didn't have secrets? Master's wife Nan sighed. My husband is right. Without a travel permit, people can't enter the Yin Kingdom. If I take you there by force, I can only turn you into slaves. Slaves were very lowly in the Yin Kingdom. Once someone in a high position took a fancy to them, they could be taken away by force at any time. So it was reasonable for Master Lu to stop her. She was impulsive just now. She only wanted Gu Yan to go to the Yan Kingdom, but she forgot that if Gu Yan became a slave, he would not be qualified to enter the medical center for treatment. Jiao Jiao, I'm scared. Little Jing Kong held a small pillow and walked out of the west room in a daze. He fell asleep and was awakened by a nightmare. Gu Jiao held his little hand and brought him over. Don't be scared. Little Jing Kong yawned and lay in Gu Jiao's arms. What were you talking about just now? We were talking about the travel permit, Gu Jiao said. Xiao Heng handed over a piece of clothing. Gu Jiao took it and wrapped little Jing Kong's body. What is a travel permit? He asked vaguely. It's a kind of travel document that allows you to go to other places. We had a travel permit when we came to the capital. Have you forgotten? Oh. Little Jing Kong sat on Gu Jiao's lap and leaned his little head on Gu Jiao's arms. Considering that Gu Yan's incident had a big impact on the little guy, Xiao Heng resisted the urge to pull him away from Gu Jiao's arms. Thinking of something, Xiao Heng suddenly said, Jing Kong, do you have a travel permit to the Yan Kingdom? Master Nan and Master Lu were both stunned when they heard this. What was he asking? How could a child have a travel permit to the Yan Kingdom? Gu Jiao blinked. Yes, she almost forgot that this little guy was a local tycoon. He even had a house deed to the Liang Kingdom. Little Jing Kong rubbed his sleepy eyes and thought for a while. Then he shook his head. No, Xiao Heng said seriously. Do you really not have it or not? Think about it again. Little Jing Kong almost fell asleep in Gu Jiao's arms. He murmured. No, I don't have a travel permit to the Yan Kingdom. Master didn't give it to me. Xiao Heng and Gu Jiao sighed at the same time. There's only that thing. Little Jing Kong said in his sleep. Gu Jiao's eyes moved. What thing? That. Little Jing Kong was drooling. He tried to keep his eyes open, but it was really difficult to not fall asleep in Jiao Jiao's arms. Box. What did he say? Xiao Heng asked. Gu Jiao listened carefully. After a while she said to Xiao Heng. I think he said a box. The last time Gu Changqing came back to Beijing, he brought a box to little Jing Kong. It's so big, and there's a lotus flower carved on it. Xiao Heng went into the west room and found a small lotus flower box from little Jing Kong's pile of junk. Is this it? Gu Jiao took the box and asked little Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong really couldn't take it anymore. His eyelids were hurting. Yes. He nodded confusedly. Can I open it and take a look? Gu Jiao asked. Give it to Jiao Jiao. He was half awake, but he still remembered that as long as Jiao Jiao liked it, it would all belong to Jiao Jiao. He also belonged to Jiao Jiao. Gu Jiao handed the box to Xiao Heng and motioned him to open it. After Xiao Heng opened it, everyone present was dumbfounded. Mistress Nan's delicate body trembled. She seriously suspected that she was dreaming. What kind of mountain was this little monk adopted from? Why did he have the admission papers of the Imperial Academy of the Yan Kingdom? Tianqiong Academy was one of the 4-century-old academies of the Yan Kingdom. It was known as the Imperial Academy because it had produced 3 empresses and 2 monarchs. There were 4 men in the family, so there were 4 admission papers in total. Mistress Nan was confused. Was Tianqiong Academy owned by your family? Gu Jiao was shocked many times, so she quickly calmed down. She asked the little guy in her arms. Jing Kong, why didn't you tell me earlier that you had this? Jing Kong was almost asleep. He murmured in his sleep. I don't want to go to school. No. It seemed that the gift was not from the abbot, but from little Jing Kong's master. Gu Jiao was more and more curious about the white-bearded old monk. She really wanted to visit him if she had the chance. Tianqiong Academy's admission papers were the best guide. With them, their plan to go to the Yan Kingdom could be considered to have succeeded. Gu Jiao was packing up in the east room when Xiao Heng pushed the door and entered. He was holding his admission paper with his name on it. I looked for it, but I couldn't find yours. Gu Jiao was a woman and had never been to school. Jing Kong's master must have known about this, so he didn't prepare one for her. Gu Jiao stopped packing and poured a cup of hot tea for him. Have some tea. Xiaoheng took the cup and drank 2 mouthfuls. His stomach felt warm. But I asked Madame Nan, and she said I can bring my wife with me. Gu Jiao continued folding the clothes. She suddenly said, "No need." Xiaoheng was stunned. He stopped drinking tea. "Aren't you going?" Gu Jiao turned around and looked at him calmly. "I'll go, but I don't need you to take me." Xiaoheng frowned in confusion. "Then what are you going to do?" Before he could finish speaking, Xiaoheng suddenly felt a wave of dizziness in his head. The cup in his hand fell, and he fell down. Gu Jiao caught the cup with one hand and held him with the other. Xiaoheng looked at her in a daze. It's too dangerous for you to go to the Yan Kingdom, so I've decided." Gu Jiao put down the cup and took the admission paper in his hand. "Go by yourself." Xiaoheng gritted his teeth weakly. "Gu Jiao." Xiaoheng completely fainted in Gu Jiao's arms. Gu Jiao drugged Xiaoheng fiercely. It was 3 days later when he woke up. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw a little boy in the Imperial College's uniform squatting on the ground next to the bed and drawing circles. Xiaoheng struggled to sit up. Hearing the movement, the little boy raised his head and threw away the branch in his hand. He looked at him with hidden bitterness. "You're finally awake?" Xiaoheng looked at little Jing Kong and then at the door. "Where's Jiao Jiao?" Little Jing Kong stomped his feet and snorted. "She left. It's all your fault. You didn't leave Jiao Jiao behind. I had to take care of you, so I was left behind by Jiao Jiao. Jiao Jiao didn't want to take you with her, okay? You're just a child and you're a hindrance. Gu Jiao still has to take care of the patients. How could she have the time to take care of you?" Xiaoheng's conscience kicked in, and he didn't tell him the cruel truth. In addition, he felt that Gu Jiao might still want to avenge Gu Yan, so she couldn't take Jing Kong with her. It was too dangerous. Did she take Gu Yan there alone? Xiaoheng actually wanted to ask if Madame Nan went with them. Little Jing Kong didn't understand what he meant. He only said sourly according to his own understanding. Xiaoshuan's brother also went. What? She took Gu Xiaoshan but didn't take him. He was really angry. Do you want to go to Jiao Jiao? Little Jing Kong pursed his lips and asked. Xiaoheng heard this and his anger disappeared. What do you mean? Oh, you also have the admission document. But other than husband and wife, only blood relatives can go. Little Jing Kong stuck out his small chest. As long as you promise to take me with you, I have a way to make you go. Xiaoheng didn't believe him. Little Jing Kong asked. Do you agree? Xiaoheng looked at him suspiciously. Okay, I agree. Little Jing Kong was not easy to fool. You have to swear. If you lie to me, I'll let Jiao Jiao find me a new brother-in-law in the Yan Kingdom. This little guy was too vicious. But the temptation of going to Gu Jiao was too great. Xiaoheng still listened to him. Little Jing Kong ran to the box and dug out his small pile of junk. Finally, he took out a small box inlaid with gold and handed it to Xiaoheng. Here. Xiaoheng opened the small box and saw that it was another admission document from the Yan Kingdom. He had been unlucky for so long. Finally, there was a time for him to turn around. Xiaoheng's eyes lit up, but his face sank when he read the last part. The words on the document were written in black and white. Kanglan Women's College. Xiaoheng. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with inner content that can't be found on the internet can be found here. https://www.zhbqg.com/8964-226/1080915744. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. That you're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.